What's going on, guys? I am Rob Bifo, and this is Honest and Uneducated, the show where we talk about everything from movies, movie news, video games, comic books, all sorts of fun stuff like that. We got a lot of stuff to get in here today. We got after this airs, it'll be the Super Bowl will have passed, and we'll have some new trailers, probably more than likely, to talk about. So hopefully, we'll have a Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage trailer will be out, hopefully, being rumored, and then perhaps a Snyder Cut trailer, one that actually shows some new footage. So that'll be good. Looking forward to that. So we'll probably put up some reaction or review videos to those once they come out. So, but otherwise, joining me today to get into some of these topics we have is none other than Rik Metz himself. How you doing today, Rik?
Doing pretty good. You gonna watch the Super Bowl tonight?
Yeah, but primarily, to be honest, just I'm gonna watch it for the trailers more than anything.
And
I'm not the biggest. I stopped following like professional sports like years ago.
yeah,
Like just I don't know.
You got Tom Brady coming back.
That's the biggest story of the whole thing is
The
just
GOAT.
yeah, just Brady and just because I was telling you off camera too. Like literally, if anyone denied that he was the GOAT as far as NFL quarterbacks goes, like this year has proved it. Like in my opinion, like. You can't. You leave the Patriots, and then you get to a team that hasn't even gone to the playoffs in like 10 years or something,
Yeah.
and you take them all the way to the playoffs. Not only that, you win your playoff games and go to the damn Super Bowl. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's
like,
pretty good.
They wouldn't have been there without Brady. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, too, we cannot forget we have John Knight with us. How you doing today, John?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Not so bad.
Yeah, doing
Yeah,
good.
I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I'm pulling for Brady, and it's not because I like Brady, but I dislike Bill Belichick that much more that I think it would be awesome
Fair.
to see Belichick not even be able to make the playoffs, and Brady take a team to win the Super Bowl because Belichick gets so much credit for their success and stuff over the years. And I'll admit he's a good coach. I just don't think he's the end all be all of coaches, and I think he kind of fell butt backwards into one of the best quarterbacks of all time, if not the best quarterback of all time.
Mhm.
I mean, if Bledsoe had never gotten hurt when Belichick was the coach of New England, they would have never given Brady a shot. It wasn't like Belichick was like, "No, Bledsoe, I'm benching you because we got this young kid that I have a lot of faith in." It was like, "No, we have to put Brady in because Bledsoe's hurt." So,
Right.
as much as obviously they had to perform and he had to coach well to get them all their wins while they were together. But I still don't. I think he gets a lot more credit than maybe he actually deserves for their run that they had there in New England. So anyway, I'm pulling for Brady to pour a little salt in the wound of Belichick.
Yeah, I mean, he already kind of did. Because the Patriots, they didn't make it. So
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
he leaves, and Patriots have been to the playoffs, and if not the Super Bowl, like how many times in the last 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
And then
It's
as soon
been
as
like
Brady
15 or
leaves,
16,
yeah. As soon as
People in
Brady leaves,
Boston-
doesn't happen.
People in Boston
Yep.
are probably so upset.
Yeah, for sure.
Salty.
Yeah, it is what it is. But let's get into these main topics here we have today, guys. And don't forget as well, if you would like to, you can submit topics and questions to the show by emailing us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. But with that down, we have a couple new bits of information in regards to the Snyder Cut. One being, of course, here that we got our rating for the show. It was a show, I guess, at one point. And then it was a movie. There was a show. Now it's a movie again. But it has been officially rated R. So we have that little bit of information. Then we had this picture released by Zach featuring the Joker here, Jared Leto's Joker, which was a very reminiscent to that first picture of Heath Ledger's Joker from that Nolan released when he was behind the glass and everything. Very similar to that. And then we have another picture released that was just kind of another look at the nightmare scene, which is not a whole lot, but it's interesting. It's just that there's more of it to come, more so than anything. I think is a bigger story here than rather than just the image itself. Because the image is just like, okay, cool, it's Batman in a hallway. I don't know what else it could mean, but other than that, like, because I mean, was there even a shot there was Superman walking down the hallway in the actual movie, like in Justice League. If you remember, like he drops down, but that was when Batman was already caught and tied up,
Yeah.
and it showed
But that
Superman
wasn't.
dropping down in a hallway. But
But that wasn't Justice League, was that? That was BVS.
oh yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
think
That
I
was
don't think we got
BVS.
there was
Yeah.
none of the nightmare sequence that took place in Justice League.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was
So
BVS.
that's one of the biggest, like, I don't know if surprise is the right word, but maybe reveals from the Snyder Cut promo stuff that they've put out so far is that we'll be revisiting that nightmare sequence again in some form.
That brings up the question too, is like I'm wondering if this was actually initially shot for Justice League or if it's extended stuff that was unused in BVS that he's adding to Justice League. Since
That's
like you
possible.
said, there was no nightmare stuff in Justice League. So that's also something.
I also wonder if it could be footage that had been filmed during BVS. I mean, I don't know how much of BVS got cut down or cut out in the editing process, and if they went back and pulled any of that footage while they were recreating this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I like this hallway reminds me of that hallway from BVS
It
where
really does.
Superman. Like that's where I imagine this was from.
Sure.
So like, I mean, that obviously wasn't for Justice League though. That was
Yeah.
from BVS. So.
That's a weird putting it.
Plus, too, it's kind of like them having like the Joker in here, for instance. Too, it's like where does it necessarily even fit into the story of Justice League? You know what I mean? That's the hard thing to kind of pinpoint because, like I've said from the beginning, like it's cool that Joker and like Deathstroke are going to show up, but where do they realistically fit in or even be needed in any way, shape, or form?
I think part of the problem though is like I think and I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to fit this stuff into because we have Justice League and you think that you have like, okay, that's the story. This is just going to be that story expanded. I mean, we're talking about like, I mean, Justice League, if you take out all of the stuff that Joss Whedon shot for it, you're left with what, maybe a half hour supposedly of footage that was Zach's that was used for it. So, and this movie is going to be 4.5 hours long. So you're talking about 4 hours. I mean, this story could be wildly different in a number of ways from what we actually saw in Justice League. I mean, which I'm kind of hoping it is. I really, I mean, I guess my biggest fear is that it's just Justice League with a bunch of extraneous scenes just thrown in the middle that just drag it out and don't improve upon it in any way. So yeah, I'm really hoping that they have stripped Justice League of, only all but like a half hour of footage, and then they put that half hour back in where almost like, they're almost expanding Zach's vision of it with footage from Justice League as opposed to the other way around, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, because that's kind of like, to add to that, if you remember like the ultimate cut of BVS, it was like it was the same movie with just longer scenes. You know what I mean? And there was some added back to it, but it wasn't like cut any differently to make it flow any better, really.
They just like extended it.
Yeah, and then they put scenes back in the movie, but they didn't do anything to make it flow better or make not to
see. I thought the Snyder cut or the ultimate cut of BVS was 100 times better than the theatrical cut. I mean, there was stuff that just made absolutely no sense that happened in the theatrical cut of BVS. That at least with the Snyder cut, you got some background to. Now, still, some of the character choices and decisions that they made, like Batman being the Punisher, didn't make a lot of sense to me. But from a strictly like narrative standpoint, the extra stuff really made a lot of the decisions and other parts of the story come together a lot better than that. So I'm hoping that this will at least flow kind of like that, or we'll see.
Because the ultimate cut is a better movie. It's just I don't feel like they did enough in it to really justify there being two different versions, if that makes sense. Like, because it's like all they did was put in the stuff that they took out, but they didn't cut anything else down or remove anything that maybe didn't need to be there. And that, or just, I don't know.
How much longer was it?
It was only like 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it
Which
wasn't.
I'm not sure why they made him cut it down anyway for the the theatrical cut. It would have made it like a 3-hour movie, which obviously is a long movie to ask people to sit through. But still, if the choice is making people sit through an extra 30 minutes or give them a movie that doesn't make a lick of sense because of you cut out important scenes, like ask them to sit there the extra 30 minutes. At least then they get the full story.
It's better than 4.5 hours.
That's true too.
it's
That's
ma-
crazy.
It's mainly the fact that, and this is even more stupid of a reason, but the main reason the studios prefer them to be 2 to 2.5 hours is just so they can have more showings in a day.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
so that, and
makes
that's
sense.
literally the only reason. Just because, like, well, we can make more money if it's 2 hours. Like, literally, it's like they don't care about it compromising the story all that much or the movie
Yeah,
itself.
That's
It's like,
stupid,
oh,
though.
we can show like 3 or 4 more a day, so that's a lot more money. It's like,
That's
well,
really stupid.
it is stupid because if your movie's like, suffers from it,
Garbage.
you're not going to get those repeat viewings, and people aren't going to want to go out and see it in general because they're going to get all the bad word of mouth. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you might get the few extra dollars on that opening weekend before people have a chance to talk about it and find out like what the reactions are. But after that, you're just shooting yourself in the foot because you're the bad word of mouth is going to keep people away, and those extra showings won't mean anything.
it's stepping over what, pennies to pick up dimes or something, or what's the saying? Stepping over whatever the hell that is. I forget what the saying is, but that's what it is.
Good
pretty much.
metaphor.
Yeah. Ridiculous. But anyways, guys, question is, what do you think about? Actually, dude, I forgot. We didn't talk about the Joker picture. We didn't talk about the Joker.
Yeah.
I had it up here and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
What do you
what's
guys
this
think about
blurry
this?
picture?
Yeah. What do you guys think about it? Because I think I think we talked about it before when it first came out. It kind of looks like that Heath Ledger thing, like I said. But
we talked about it, when we were just off camera. But I pointed out that there's something about the face that, even though I know it's super blurry and so you can't really be sure of what you're seeing, but to me there's something about his lip, the left side of his face, his lip, that seems real droopy to me, and even his nose seems kind of like off kilter somehow.
It does.
Now that could just be distortion from the camera angle or because of the glass, but I almost get the impression that it gives me the feeling of Greg Capullo's Joker from the Scott Snyder Greg Capullo version, where Joker had actually cut his own face off and then attached it back on at a later date. So I kind of get that impression from that picture. Now I could be completely, just putting my own bias and spin on it because I liked that version of the Joker, but there's something about that droopiness to me that kind of gives that subtle or that hint of maybe that's what's going on.
I think even with the blurriness, it just looks totally different. Like the hair, from what you can see, it's like longer. I mean, I could be wrong about that too, but it just doesn't look like the same Joker from, like Suicide Squad or anything like that.
no, it totally does look like it looks very similar.
Yeah.
You can see it looks pretty similar.
And Rob, you had another observation about the face and maybe the lack of something on the face.
Yeah, what I noticed too of it, and this could also just be an effect of like the blurriness and everything, obviously, but it seems like the tattoos are gone. Because if you remember, he had the facial tattoos, and I mean quite a bit of them, and you don't really see them there at all.
Looking like a damn SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah, exactly. And then the thing is, if he did one way, what I've suggested, kind of based on what you were saying, where it kind of looks like the new 52 version of Joker with the cut off face. It's like, what if they actually have him do that as a way of removing the tattoos in general?
That's true.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because
he could cut his face off and just he could literally have a line where he's just like in like a crazy Joker kind of breakdown kind of scenario where he's just like, I was ready for a change, so I cut off my face and then I bleached them off or whatever the hell, what I mean? And it's because it's something he would do.
Well, that was one of the things. Like if these things that we're talking are like if we're interpreting the blurred image correctly and it is cut off and the tattoos are missing, that's a lot of explanation that needs to happen in what I imagine is going to be a very short scene with the Joker. I mean, they talked about I think we're all still basing these assumptions off of the fact that that some people have said there's only an additional 4 to 5 minutes of new footage. That's
Yeah.
not a lot of time to be,
Well, it's an
I don't know,
hour
to
and
be putting like big narrative points like the Joker's face and why it looks different.
Well, yeah, then you got a lot for Martian Manhunter footage has been confirmed, and then Deathstroke has been confirmed. So, I mean, there's like 3 new characters, new quote unquote,
Yeah.
for the movie. And it's like, granted, I think Zach was kind of insinuating that a lot of the Martian Manhunter stuff was part of his original cut. It's at least what kind of vibe I've been getting based on everything he's been saying about him. I don't know. He's primarily, I think it was just announced too that he's a full CG character. So, because I said this before when the 5-minute news came out, it's like maybe they were explicitly talking about physically shooting something and not anything that was, in a CG world.
well,
Yeah.
Maybe.
it's an hour and 50 minutes of new footage or like unused footage. I think they said,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, they could have had all the Martian Manhunter scenes shot, just not CG'd. So they could not be counted. They could be saying like that could be why that's not included in the 4 to 5 new footage minutes that they recorded. Or
You
whatever.
could probably fit a lot into that time period, though, thinking about how short the clips could be.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. It's just, my only thing is, I'm still leaning on the fact that I don't know. I just don't know what the point of bringing Joker and Deathstroke into it would be if you're not setting something up for the future. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And not just from like a story standpoint, even from like a Joe Manganiello actor and Jared Leto actor standpoint. Like, why go and do this if they're never gonna do it again? Like, that just seems weird.
Do you think that the okay, so here's my, and this is why I'm going to say this, is because I'm guessing that it's going to be a tag scene at the end of the movie. I don't know narratively. Again, I just got done saying I probably shouldn't frame my reference based off Justice League, but I don't know narratively with what we've seen out of Justice League how you'd fit those two characters in. So my natural inclination is to say it's just a tag at the end, like setting up maybe a future like the Injustice side or something. But even if that was the case, then why do you throw it in if there isn't going to be anything in the future? And my only rationale for why that may be the case would be this is WB giving Zach his ability. So Zach doesn't come out and basically, so Zach doesn't come away from this and say, well, it was mostly what I wanted, but I actually wanted to do this tag at the end that they ended up cutting out or not letting me do. And in this way, when it's all said and done, Zach's going to say, yes, this is the ultimate version of what my Justice League would have looked like. And that way WB doesn't have to deal with the fan backlash of, oh, but he didn't get to add this scene that he wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like that's been a lot of the driving force behind this whole movement is fans of Zach's being like, we want to see Zach's vision of it. We don't want it, watered down for Warner Brothers or whatever.
You know what, too? There was the end tag of Justice League that had Deathstroke in it with Lex Luthor. What if all they did was add Joker into that, too?
Yeah.
And they just
That's
reshot
possible.
some more stuff with just that.
Do we know if did Eisenberg come back to shoot stuff? Do we know?
Nothing's been confirmed, but
Okay.
it's not to say though that they couldn't have just had Lex not really directly interact with them, just have Deathstroke interact with them, and just kind of cut it up to make it look like he was talking to both.
Yeah.
And there was probably some other dialogue of Jesse's that they cut so that they could just make it look like he directly spoke to Joker if they needed him to for whatever reason. But because I could see that happening, because that was setting up the Injustice Society thing already. And just throw Joker into it. Why he's right there, just do it. As opposed to setting up some other standalone scene for Joker that just based on what we know about the Justice League story, that's why it's that none of it really makes sense. What Joker gonna do against parademons and Darkseid and Steppenwolf?
Sure.
It's where does he fit in?
That's
So he fit into that scene at the end of the movie where Deathstroke already was, so that would kind of make sense.
Do you think that image, that promo image of the Joker that he released is it just an image that was taken to release as a promo image, or do you think that's a scene from the film that they have digitally altered?
I would honestly say probably a promo image.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
It's
okay.
kind of like I go back to the Heath Ledger one again. Like that wasn't in the movie.
I think
Yeah,
that
it
was the
actually
scene where
was.
it's in the beginning where he's like, right before he kills the guy and the bus comes in at the bank, and he's like staring
Yeah.
down at the camera.
Yeah,
He
it
was
Whatever doesn't
was.
kill
wearing
you
the-
makes you stranger.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
because he
the-
wasn't.
it-
He
that-
was wearing the purple coat in the promo image,
I
and
don't
he's
think he
not wearing
was.
the purple coat in that scene.
No, you're talking about. I know which promo image you're talking, but the very first promo image that came out was you've got Chris Nolan off to the, if I'm remembering, he's in the left side of the frame,
Yeah.
Yeah.
along with the IMAX camera, and he's giving direction to Heath Ledger, who's on the right side, and they've put this frosted glass barrier in front of Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
So you like couldn't tell what it was really. Or...
Yeah, I always assumed that was from an actual. They were actually doing filming, and they had somebody just off to the side put that up and take a picture of it just so they could release something.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. I just thought he was wearing
Okay.
a purple coat.
I don't think.
Oh,
he
maybe
is.
he,
I can't find the damn picture though. Of course.
I think I dropped it in Discord when we were talking about this earlier this week. I don't know if you can scroll back. I'm trying to go back and through and see if I can find it for you. Hopefully I put it in the right area, but we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? Speaking of which, dude, what was I gonna say? I thought about it right at the beginning. I was gonna say it earlier, and I completely forgot what it was. It had something to do with a hot toy.
It's in topics. It's in the topic section of Discord. It's just back above the picture that you dropped in earlier.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
I gotta pull it up. Where are we at?
But yeah, I could
Yeah, he is wearing the
bank
thing you're
robbery.
talking about.
Yeah.
The bank robbery one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
That's that. I think that's the scene where he says, whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's around that same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that image I always took when they released that, I always thought, well, they just snapped. That's why I was wondering about the Leto picture. Like, did they just take a clip from the actual movie and just blur out Leto's face much like they did here? Or is that something that Zach was like, hey, Jared, we're going to need a promotional pic, so I want you to do this. And go that route. But then
promo.
again, this is a long way of, my God, I'm taking the longest way possible. This is a long way of getting to that image. Doesn't give you any background. So it doesn't, basically what I was going to say, it doesn't look like it's on a boat. So then that makes
true.
that whole tag at the end be something different. Is it set somewhere else in the movie? Does their whole setup for Injustice League just not even, does Zach's tag for a setup not happen on a boat? And then you would need Eisenberg back for a different filming. I don't know. I'm going off in 1,000 different directions here on where he could fit.
Well, and the other thing is too that we kind of noted was that he's wearing like gloves.
They
And,
look like rubber
the
gloves,
outfit
yeah.
itself looks weird. It's like almost like a butcher or surgical doctor looking outfit. It looks like he's wearing all white or something.
Yeah.
Like clothing with the like white gloves. Granted, could be just color grading, making it look different. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I figured too, the gloves would also be another easy way of not redoing all his hand tattoos, because he also had all those stupid hand tattoos everywhere.
That's
Like just for that, I hated it mainly just for that one scene, which people would like nowadays call cringy in a lot of ways. The little like smile on his hand, and, like, dude, it's a stupid.
That was
such a
cringy.
stupid scene. Like, and honestly, it doesn't even go with the kind of character that he played. He played this like gangster, it's just like, why is he acting like that? If he's acting like this and he's acting like that, and he's got all this, I don't know. I did not like the tattoos. I liked everything else about the character. I thought was fine. Like the look, everything was good, just minus the tattoos. Like especially the facial ones. If he had other tattoos, like I think it'd be fine. It's just like,
I remember the first time I saw the tattoos, and I was like, "That is so stupid."
yeah, it's just it's the choice of the tattoos and the positioning of the tattoos that are just like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like I get the meaning behind, like when Air and Leto like explains the like damaged one. I'm like, okay, that's a cool explanation, but the tattoo's still stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I don't know. I just never took it as part of like something that any Joker, even the one that Jared Leto portrayed, would go through doing. Like it's
Well, let me go get some tattoos. Like,
yeah,
you know, what would make me look cooler?
yeah. That's like the metal teeth thing made sense. Like
Yeah,
with
that did.
when you got the backstory, it's like, oh, Batman beat the living out of him, and he got real, just new metal teeth put in, and it's like, well, that makes sense, and that helps prevent that from happening again. So it's like you get the look of having this grill kind of thing, but there's actually like some, I don't know,
Logical
practical
reasoning
use
behind
to
it.
it. Yeah. That's I don't know. All that
But
makes sense.
again, like you said, when you have the explanation behind it, it kind of works. But that
No
yet
context.
again,
It's like,
you don't anybody watching the movie has no idea. I mean, you shouldn't have to go read an interview with the director and the actor to understand why the movie is the way it is. Like, tell us in the freaking movie. That's why I paid my $15 to go sit, because I wanted to get the story of what was going on, not vague innuendo about what was going on.
Show don't tell.
Yeah.
Show don't tell. Especially like, normally that applies to a movie in general, but this is like you didn't show or tell, you told outside of the movie. Like, that's what like brings me back to the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. The visual dictionary had to explain why things in the movie made sense, because they still didn't make sense.
Even they shouldn't have to do that.
And it's like, you can't do that. That's horrible storytelling. Like, if you can't show me, let alone tell me in the movie, then you got a problem.
Don't do it.
Yeah, you got a
take
problem
it out.
with your
Take
story.
it out.
Yeah, like you're going the wrong way if you have to come up with things after the fact and other source material to make it make sense. I'm like, okay, you expect people to go read this just to understand this? Like, no, it was stupid.
What about the movie rated R? Are you happy with that? Do you think that that's going to significantly make it edgier or better in any way?
No, and I think it's like, because we talked about this before when it was like rumored that it might be, like, realistically, it should only be rated R like if it needs to be. And I don't see this movie in any way ever needing to be, especially based on what Zach had said about it. He said like Batman dropped some F-bombs. You don't need that.
No.
Like,
you could easily
go get around
something
that.
else out. Yep.
Yeah,
you can put a different word in.
Steppenwolf was like hacking people. Like, you don't need that really either. Like, just blood and gore doesn't make a movie good. Is it cool if it's like set? If that's the movie, then cool. Like, whatever. But it's like just adding it just for the sake of adding it isn't gonna make it cool. It reminds me of I think I brought this up before. The Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie was rated R. Didn't need to be at all. There was nothing in there that required the story to be rated R. It was literally just so they could drop some bad language every once in a while, because there wasn't even gore or anything in that to make it necessary either. Like, because you can get away with a ton of stuff in PG-13. Venom was PG-13.
Yeah, you really can.
Like,
you get what, one
away with
F-bomb?
so much. Yeah.
The Ultimate Cut of BVS was also rated R, correct?
I don't know. I don't think so. Was it?
I thought it did. I thought when you went from the theatrical to the Ultimate Cut, I think it went from a PG-13 to an R. I just wonder if there's going to be any additional scenes with Batman, like attacking actual humans, because just like in cartoons where, like, if you attack robots or aliens, you can typically get away with more violent actions and still get a lower rating on things. But when you start attacking humans in a very violent way, then you typically the rating gets bumped up. So if they're just fighting parademons and Batman's going hardcore on parademons, that's probably not going to push it to an R for violence, which I think is so but I'm wondering if there's maybe some scenes with humans or people working for the side of Darkseid. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out.
Said. He said it was Steppenwolf is like going around cutting people in half.
Okay.
That was Zach's words. So but at the same time, like, you don't need to really show that to get that point across.
No,
sure.
Because I mean, you're CGing it in there anyway. Because it's not like you have someone literally cutting someone in half. So all you do is just have him hit the person, and then you cut somewhere else.
You cut to another person's reaction, and if they react properly, sometimes that's even more horrific than actually seeing it happen.
Have the sound effect in there too.
The implication, the sound effect and the implication of what's going on is sometimes more horrific or visceral than actually seeing it happen.
Yeah, and BVS Ultimate Cut was rated R for
I thought so.
sequences of violence, but I don't remember there being any more additional sequences of violence outside of the original cut. In all honesty,
the warehouse scene where Batman takes out all the thugs holding Martha.
Oh, they show blood in
is
that.
Longer. Yep, they add blood effects,
that.
and they made it a longer sequence. There's like a second or two of footage here and there where they actually hold on, like Batman breaking the guy's arm, like he snapped it the wrong way, and they don't cut away from it real quick. They kind of linger on some of that stuff. So
that's the best scene in that movie. That's a good movie. That's the best Batman fight scene we've ever had on camera. It was good. I've watched that so many times.
It's a good fight scene to be bouncing around from the guys and how effective and what a great way
it was very visceral, dude. Like you felt he was in it. Like, and he got hit. It was good.
Yeah. But some of the choices that they chose, like some of the like killing blows that he inflicts there, I felt like they could have just pulled back just a second to keep it more in line with the version of Batman that I like. I think that is more realistic or not realistic. It's more classic, I guess, is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And again, we go back to, we haven't gotten, I guess with Batman we have, but I want the classic versions of these characters before I get the Elseworlds murder versions.
Yeah, like the ultra violent version of Batman.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that's what we kind of talked about before with like how they portrayed that Batman was like, if we got the previous 20 years in movies that explain how he got to the point he's at now, you'd be more on board with whatever he's going through, because you're just kind of introduced to this Batman who we know Robin died to the Joker, but like we don't know how or why. And so the first time you see him, he just like wants to kill Superman, and he just wants to kill people in general, or is okay with it. So like I could see it. I understand why people are just like, that's not the Batman I know, guys. Like, and it's like, true, they make you kind of just go with it and just understand he's in a very bad place and has been doing this for 20 years. Like, if you're on board with that going into it, then it's all fine. But I could see it being very jarring for people.
Definitely.
I love it, but I thought it was cool.
Hey, Rick, you're more, your wheelhouse is more like Star Wars and stuff. You're not.
Yeah.
I know you watch the superhero stuff, but you're not as hardcore about it as I think Rob and I are. Is it being rated R? Does that make you even more excited for it? Does it seem like it's going to be cooler or better because of that?
I don't think the rating would really determine how much more I'm going to like it or anything. I think it just really comes down to like how the story flows and how, the changes that were made and that sort of stuff. I mean, it's kind of just like, oh, it's probably going to be more violent because it's rated R now, but that doesn't really like excite me by any means. You could make it perfectly good in PG-13, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I'm worried about too, because like you even said, like with the BVS warehouse scene, it's like they added the blood splatter, and that's what got it the R.
Yeah, that's
like
stupid.
If that's all they're doing is they're holding on a shot of Steppenwolf hitting somebody, but they're showing it wounds them and having blood squirt out. I guess it doesn't matter because it's on HBO Max and not going in theaters. So like they could keep it there and not risk losing out any money because they're not going to. So it's not getting a theatrical release, so it's not limiting the market. So I guess it doesn't really matter. But it's still just kind of like, I feel like it's a lot of just doing it for the sake of doing it, other than actually the story needing it to be. But it is what it is. Or did you have any, like, are you on board with it at all, John? Or like, what does it mean for you? Is this what it is?
I mean, at this point, we know what Zack Snyder is as far as a director, and when it comes to these characters, we've seen his version of these characters multiple times, and he goes for that more hardcore. So, in order to, I'll say this: if this is going to be Zack Snyder's vision of what these characters are in this movie should be, then I think it should be rated R. I'm glad it's rated R because I think that a PG-13 version would not be his vision of it. It would be a version of his vision, but it would be watered down. He clearly has a desire to push the envelope when it comes to the violence and stuff. He thinks that these characters need to be violent. And I keep saying violent, but that's the only word I can really come up with. He seems
Hardcore.
that hardcore. But yeah, there's a good word. He seems to feel that these characters need to have that hardcore edginess to them in a way that maybe they haven't been portrayed before. So from that standpoint, I'm glad it's rated R, just because we know that. I mean, I think it helps guarantee that we're getting what he has envisioned all along for this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna spend, $70-100 million to let him make this movie, they may as well let him make the movie.
Yeah,
Sure.
Like, so
let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely agree with it on that level. Whether or not it needs it, up for debate, and we'll have to see it to really know. But I don't think it's going to hurt it or make it any better in any way. It just kind of is what it is. So if that's what he wants to make, he wants to make. So the question is, guys, what do you think about all this Snyder Cut news? Are you on board with it being rated R? Do you think the Joker image is like in any way leading to like a redesign of Jared Leto's Joker? Like maybe it could be, or do you think it's just the shot being that way for promotional purposes? Do you think it's actually something in the movie? And then what else would we talk about with the Snyder Cut? Other than the nightmare scene, what do you think about it even being in Justice League, considering the Nightmares footage was only in BVS before? Do you think it's just unused Nightmare stuff, or do you think they're actually like Zack shot new Nightmare footage for Justice League that was unused in BVS altogether? So like we never got any in Justice League, but there was supposed to be some in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. All right, guys, so our next topic takes us to the Marvel Cinematic Universe here, coming out with some information on the Blade movie that was announced starring Mahershala Ali, where we haven't really gotten any new information. Really no new info has come out about it since the announcement that Mahershala was going to be playing Blade. I mean, even I think during the Disney press conference thing, that just the one that just recently happened, that was still the same announcement. I think they mentioned again, I think Feige was just like, yeah, Mahershala is still playing Blade, and that was pretty much it. And there's been no new news or anything on it. But we have got, they have finally attached a writer to it, and it turns out they have gotten the scribe to the Watchment series, which I'm excited for that, because I thought that Watchmen series was dope, dude. Like, I really liked it. And I know a lot of people maybe didn't like it and have their own reservations about it because, the Moore not being involved in it in any way. But that's just how he is. Like, I know a lot of people weren't with it just because Alan Moore didn't want anything to do with it and blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't want anything to do with any of his work if other people are doing it. This is what it is.
Yeah.
This is how he is. But I thought it was great. And for all intents and purposes, for them to go in and make a, really like a true sequel to the graphic novel is a pretty large undertaking. And I thought they did a great job. I loved the show. I thought it was great. I'm on the fence about the ending, in all honesty, especially given that it doesn't look like they're actually going to be following it up, which is, I hate endings that set something up
and then nothing
with no follow through.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Kind of like I always hated the end of Matrix Revolutions, because it's like, you left me with a question mark. I mean, now we're finally getting Matrix 4, but they could still leave that open-ended, which I'm worrisome that they will. But what do you guys think of Stacey Osei Kufur? Or I think I said it better off camera.
I was going to say
Stacey Osei Kufur. I know I'm butchering this name, but what do you think of her being attached to Blade?
I think it's kind of cool. I mean, the Watchmen show is really good and definitely a lot different than the movie, but for that kind of show, she did well. And I think, with Blade being kind of a darker toned movie story, whatever you want to say, I think that would go hand in hand, really.
Yeah, true. Oh, that was good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, the I don't know if politics is the right word. The politics of Watchmen and more not wanting them to do more, and DC kind of ignoring, or Warner Brothers ignoring his wishes. All that aside, I don't think too many people would watch Watchmen and say that it wasn't a very well scripted and well produced show. I mean, the story narratively flowed perfectly. They didn't bring up a lot of plot points that didn't have any bearing on other parts of the story. They didn't leave things open ended as far as the things that the progression of the story to the end. It didn't like they didn't just Deus ex machina things into it to solve problems in the story and stuff. It was a very well scripted story. So having somebody from that has that kind of pedigree that's worked in on a show that was that good is encouraging. I mean, it's not surprising. It's Marvel, and they they are on the ball when it comes to stuff like this. So
Big true.
Yeah.
all that's not surprising in any way, shape, or form. And I mean, I think it's also worth noting that they got an African American writer to write an African American character. I mean, I think that brings some relevance or some I don't know what the right word is, some realism to it that, you know, her experience as an African American will, you know, hopefully lend authenticity to the way the character is written in the movie as well.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
Speaking of which, they also it goes to show that Kufor's hiring she is the first black female writer to pen a Marvel movie, and then they also have Nia DaCosta, who was the first black woman to direct a Marvel movie, as she is directing Captain Marvel 2. So they're making some strides forward in that, because we've commented before that they went 20 some odd movies with white male leads. Like
Yeah.
no fault in Marvel. Like I don't think it was too much of like an actual thing, but there's
wasn't
always
intentional.
there's always been that barrier in, you know, Hollywood in general, where it's just like the representation wasn't always there, and like there's definitely it's good that it's changing.
Yeah.
100%.
And
Because I mean, it was
found-
even just women directing in general was rare to begin with, let alone people of color, women of color. It's just more and more barriers that are coming down, which is
Yeah.
good.
That's good.
and I think Marvel has found with the success of Captain Marvel and some of their other films and TV shows that, you know, just make good films, make good product, and people are going to watch. I mean, you
Mhm.
know, up until you know, obviously we are really into the movie making business and knowing like who the directors are and stuff. But I have plenty of friends that couldn't pick Joe and oh god, what's his name? The Russo brothers couldn't pick him out of a lineup
yeah.
if you gave them $1 million. I mean, I think for much of the general audience, these types of things don't they don't influence them the way that maybe movie theaters think and stuff. But I do think that having you know, an African American director or writer, like I said, adds a sense of authenticity to some of these shows and products that you may not get by having a white male person write it. You know, they don't have the same world experience that those people do, and so there's little nuances and things that they can throw into these movies or these scripts that like I said, a white male couldn't. So and it's not to make the movie, you know, it's not just doing it just to do it. It's to get those little bits and things that you wouldn't otherwise have that just add that just push the movie from being maybe a good movie to a great movie or an exceptional movie.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, guys, question is, what do you think about Stacey Osei Kufor? I think I said it better that time. I don't know for sure. I've never heard anybody audibly say the woman's name, so I don't know. I'm going with that one. What do you think of her being the writer for the upcoming Blade movie? And are you excited for the Blade movie? Because the other thing that I'm super excited for with the Blade movie is you got an Oscar award-winning actor in Mahershala Ali, who also played Cottonmouth. So they're just going to, I guess, bypass that little thing, which honestly goes to show that, you know, Feige has never really considered those Netflix shows to be part of the MCU per se. Because I don't think they'd be, you know, casting the same guy. But at the same time, you know, when you got Mahershala Ali calling you up and saying, yeah, I'll play Blade, you let him play whatever he wants to play. But in my opinion. But what do you think about this? Down in the comment section below, let us know. All right, guys, so our next topic brings us to the world of Westeros here, where we have some news of the House of Dragon Game of Thrones prequel series, where they have returning. Not only do we have confirmation that Miguel Sapochnik has returned to direct, I think the whole series, or at least some of them, because he was one of the bigger, well, I don't know about bigger, but one of the directors, a part of the original Game of Thrones, who did a lot of the bigger episodes. in a lot of the most like revered episodes. He's coming back to direct, but now they have confirmed that they are bringing back the composer for the Game of Thrones series, which I'm super excited for because one, I think everybody can hum the theme to Game of Thrones, but most importantly, I've always loved all of the whole score for Game of Thrones was always like really well done, but in particular, obviously, the intro music for sure. But then the Reigns of Castamere theme, dude, is like the song they play during the Red Wedding is so good. That is like my
Was-
favorite tune in that
What?
whole series.
I'm not. Was that written by him?
I think so. He did the score.
I thought
Let me look it up.
the group The National did that.
Let me look. We'll
I
make
thought
sure.
that they.
In that scene, one of the guys from Coldplay was in the band.
Yeah,
I
he
think.
was in the band in the actual show.
Yeah.
Uh,
The Night King theme song, though, hands down, I think the best song.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the group The National did that.
I'm looking.
I'm not trying. I'm not trying to take anything away from the composer of Game of Thrones because obviously he did 99% of the music for that show, and that show was flawless as far as the music went. I mean,
yeah, it was
every scene had atmosphere and
It does say
just the feel.
according to Wikipedia, the National did do the Reigns of Castamere.
Yeah,
But it says producer and songwriter is Ramin Djawdi.
okay.
So it was probably
he
performed by
by
the
them.
National, but written by Ramin Djawdi.
Okay, well there we go.
Kind of like our boy John Williams. He doesn't play every instrument in the orchestra.
No.
He just composes them.
Yeah.
So that would be my guess here.
Okay, so that's why I was thrown off because I knew that
Yeah.
they had some involvement with that. And I guess I just kind of jumped to that was, but no, he wrote it and they performed it. That's cool.
That's what it seems like, according to
Yeah.
Wikipedia, which you can't always take for sure. But that's the first thing that was able to come up that actually has both of that info.
Well,
So,
then you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
between the Reigns of Castamere and the opening song, I mean, throw everything else out, and you've still got
Yeah,
the pedigree there for that guy to he can score any film or
yeah.
TV show he wants, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we learned from the best. I mean, like I said off camera, he worked for Hans Zimmer.
yeah.
So
I mean,
you
yeah.
can't go wrong with Hans Zimmer.
yeah, for sure. Hans Zimmer is like probably my second favorite composer behind John Williams.
Oh
So
yeah, John Williams.
Yeah.
you just can't deny the power of John Williams.
No.
like,
Dude, I mean,
Superman,
Star
Jurassic
Wars
Park,
and
Indiana
Superman,
Jones,
Jurassic Park.
It's
Yeah.
insane. I mean, because even if you take Star Wars out of it, it's like, okay, then you got E.T., Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Superman, just the
Yeah.
list goes on, dude. Because then Star Wars is in like a caliber of its own. Everybody knows Star Wars.
Sure.
Like,
And all the various scores that accompany those movies.
yeah, those are just the big ones I can name off the top of my head, but they're all amazing. Same with like with Ramin Djawdi is what I'm going with for this one. I apologize for the name pronunciation again. I'm a basic B American here, so the tunes for Reigns of Castamere and the intro music, like I know them. They're embedded in my head just like John Williams themes are. Like they're that good, like to me, in my opinion. Like so.
Sure.
I'm hoping we get some good ones for. Considering this series is going to be focusing on like the Targaryens and everything, like I think we're probably in for some pretty good music, honestly, in my opinion. So.
Well, and when we were talking about it earlier, like off camera we were talking about, I'll just throw on the Game of Thrones soundtrack, like when I'm just looking for something to chill to and I'm doing some other work or something, I'll just throw that on because it's so good and so it's just quality music. So
Yeah.
it's not even just how well it impacts and enhances the show. It's just good on its own. So I'm looking forward to more music and another album I can throw on, when I'm studying or doing work.
100%.
Yeah.
Dude, I love just the ambiance that like a lot of good scores
Great
can make
word.
is just great.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I do the same thing with like like Zimmer. Speaking of Zimmer, like I would listen to the Man of Steel soundtrack or any of the Nolan Batman movie soundtracks. Like listen to the Nolan either Batman Begins or the Dark Knight scores while you're driving on like back roads at night. It's really intense. Like,
Oh yeah,
it creates some really good atmospheric tension for these turns.
you can really let yourself get lost in the
Yeah.
feeling of being one of the characters.
100%. And then I would also like turn like some of those on if I'm playing like a particular kind of game. It just completely changes the mood. Like you know, so it's fun.
Definitely.
The power of
Yeah,
music.
you get a good action adventure game, and you throw that music on top of it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how well a lot of it, just because of the way it's written, like it'll just kind of go with whatever you're doing too.
Yeah.
Like it was so weird. At least I've had it like numerous times. Like if like the Batman themes, for instance, if I'm like driving around, as soon as I start hitting the like a corner, it's just like you know, it's like perfect all the time. It's really good. But yeah, so guys, question is, what do you think about Ramin Djawdi coming back to score the House of Dragon sequel? We're excited for it. Go check out those tunes. If you can't remember, I'm sure you remember the intro to Game of Thrones. Everybody does. But go listen to The Reigns of Castamere and tell me that's not a fantastic song. So let us know what you think down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So our next quick topic here, though, I wanted to make a note on real quick is just the other day. I believe Rick, you sent. When did you see this again, Rick?
That was yesterday.
You sent this yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because The Rock actually posted I'm guessing it was something on his Instagram. Here is what the article from Screen Rant is listing here. I couldn't find the actual thing on Screen Rant, but Rick screenshot and sent it to me because The Rock. Maybe if I just followed The Rock on Instagram, I would have seen this.
True.
I don't really get on social media all that much, so I don't know if I would have seen it to begin with. But either way, he posted this picture, and you can see in the background here, he had the script for Black Adam sitting there. And I thought this was kind of fitting and a bit curious and interesting because it was just the other day that we were discussing Shazam 2 going back into production, and I was like, well, where the hell is this Black Adam thing going? Because he was, The Rock was cast and announced for this like 9 years ago. Didn't know what to expect. Then Fandom hits, and it's like, oh, cool, you're not just getting Black Adam, you're getting the JSA. And I'm like, sign me up for this movie now, because it was so many question marks before. But then once you throw in freaking Dr. Fate, I'm going to watch the movie no matter what. I mean, I was going to watch the movie no matter what to begin with, let's be honest. But I'm actually like super stoked for this, and this is just making me hope that they're going to be starting production soon, I would imagine. Because I don't know what else he would post this tease for. Like, other than to just let people know, like, it's still happening. It's still going.
We're still doing it.
But I don't know. I'm hoping that this is more significant and it's leading more towards the maybe they're actually like going into production soon. Because if I remember correctly, they were supposed to be going into production in July. I remember July. I don't know if it was this July or last July, and it got delayed. I can't remember which.
Just keeps getting delayed, I feel like.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Because I want to see the movie.
But there's a script. I mean,
they got the script.
Yeah.
And they were already doing during the DC Fandom. They said they were doing screen tests, or like, did they say? Because The Rock was saying he was doing stuff with the kid who was playing Atom Smasher. Like, was he insinuating that they had done some filming, or was that like pre stuff? Do you remember? Like, he wasn't very clear on it. I just remember him saying stuff. And I know he was like talking about the training he was doing for it. Maybe it was just screen testing. So I don't know. Either way, I'm excited. I'm just glad that it's still happening. I'm just hoping again that this means it's coming soon, like starting soon.
And there's been more talk and more discussion and more, for lack of a better way to put it, reveals or at least hints at it like this in the past 5 to 6 months than there had been in the previous 6 years combined.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that even though the ramping up seems to be happening slowly, it is actually ramping up. And so, hopefully in another 3 to 4 months, we'll hear that they are, starting production. By the end of the year, we'll actually have either some promo images, if not a trailer, a look at it. So,
yeah, I mean, it was what, May Shazam 2 is what the story was before. I think
The
that's what they said.
start date for filming.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah, I
July
think
would
it's-
make sense if
Yeah.
for Black Adam if they want to, because I imagined, I don't know if this is ever confirmed, but in my head I'm thinking that they wanted them to come out close to each other, because I feel like they're probably going to have some sort of tie-in in some way, and not a direct like. Well, maybe a direct. I could see Black Adam popping, actually appearing in a post-credit scene because we know the Black Adam movie based on what The Rock was, just what we saw DC fandom about it, that it's going to be a period piece of some kind. I mean, we got the JSA there. I think it's probably going to be like the 80s or something. That'd be my guess. Maybe even earlier than that. I don't know for sure. But I could see a post-credit scene for Shazam featuring the Black Adam character, since he was kind of teased in the post-credit scene or deleted scene of the first Shazam movie.
I was looking it up while you were talking there. It looks like Black Adam is still scheduled to be released December of 2021.
Okay.
That doesn't make it. There's no way, though, right? There's no way they
right.
film it and get it out by the end of this year.
If they start in July, 6 months to film, that would be done in January, February of
2022.
So
Yeah.
no, I
There's
highly
no way
doubt
they
it.
hit 2021 as a release date.
Yeah, they would have had to have already filmed the movie and been doing post-production at this point.
Yeah.
They would have had to have just finished, and then maybe they could get it done with 7 months of post-production. That would make sense. But as far as we know, as
So
far as this
maybe
image is concerned, they haven't filmed
2022
anything.
it could come out, which would make more sense because Shazam 2 is listed as coming out in 2023. So if you get Black Adam in 2022, the end of 2022, and then you get Shazam early summer 2023, they're close. They're at least released within like 4 to 5, 6 months of each other.
Yeah, that makes me think that is the old release date, because they were supposed to start production in July. So my guess is it was July 2020 it was supposed to start production, and that got delayed because with a July 2020 release, December 2020 or July 2020 start date, that would make sense for a December 2021 release date. That's plenty of time. That's on
Yeah.
track. But
Okay.
there's no way, obviously, now. There's absolutely no way. Unless this is like a 30-minute movie. So they can get filming done in like 3 weeks. Like I don't see it happening
Yeah,
otherwise. That's
I don't see
insane.
that.
So that has to be the old release date for it. Which is a shame because, I mean, it's been like 9 years and I still haven't seen The Rock in a damn Black Adam costume, let alone
Right.
anything. That's one thing. Do you think that's an interesting thing that we haven't really talked about? Because obviously for Zach Levi, he did buff up a little bit, but the Shazam outfit was obviously a muscle suit.
Yeah.
I wonder. The Rock doesn't need that. So like, I'm
I
curious.
was gonna say he won't have to get in shape.
Yeah, like he's already got that. So I'm curious what if his suit is just gonna be a recolored version of Shazam's, because that's essentially what it always was, or if it's gonna be like a little different, a little edgier looking. 'Cause it'll definitely be probably a little bit more sleek and slimline because The Rock doesn't need a muscle suit,
No.
so he has that benefit. You could just put him in a freaking Under Armour outfit and like just put the logo on it, and it's like, well, there you go.
Dude's huge.
Yeah, I mean, there he is. Like, it's Black Adam. So I'm hyped for it, though. You guys got anything else to add to it? So I just want to see the damn movie. I'm actually curious about Dr. Fate more than anything, because I love Dr. Fate.
Wikipedia does reference a article that said the film is the scheduled release date for Black Adam has been pulled. The film is currently unscheduled due to COVID-19 panic after previously having been set for December 2021. So we don't even have a release date for it yet. So yeah, hopefully we'll hear that they're actually filming it, and then once that starts, then I think they'll probably set the new release date.
Well, and that's why I was like worried that like who knows when this thing is going to come out, because The Rock is so busy.
Oh god.
It's like
you
when
mentioned that.
when The Rock has his scheduled time to do stuff, that it's scheduled, like that's his time. Like
Yeah.
he goes project to project to project. He's got all his Under Armour stuff he does. He works out constantly, like literally the hardest working man in Hollywood. Like, and he's the most paid man in Hollywood too.
Yeah.
Like because he works more than anybody else. Like,
Yeah.
Good for him though.
yeah, dude, props. He's a great guy too. So
Yeah.
from what I understand, I've never met him, but all the stories I've heard, he's a great guy. So everything I've read, man. So yeah, I just want the damn thing to come out. Because like he's a better actor than people give him credit for, and I think people have kind of came around to that just based on him being like literally the most successful man in Hollywood at this point. But he has some pretty decent acting chops, and I hope Black Adam can like let him like lean into that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
I think you're right. I think a lot of people have come. I think anybody that thinks that he's not a great actor or not even a good actor is probably basing that off of if they saw him in like the first month. What was it? The third Mummy movie,
Scorpion
or the
King.
Scorpion King.
Yeah.
You know, when he first tried his hand at. But like you said, he's so hardworking. I think he's put in the work and made himself into just a phenomenal actor, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
John Cena, another WWE alum who has made his way over, he's doing the same thing. Like he's getting better and better and better. He strives in the comedy section, like
Yeah.
John
Yep.
Cena. Like he's got great comedic timing. But I
Yep.
mean, if he keeps working and working, and now he's got his own HBO Max show for Peacemaker and stuff. So like he's following in his footsteps, man.
For sure.
Like and they're both super hardworking dudes. John Cena's works just as hard. Like so.
Yeah.
I'm excited for both those. Both
I think
Peacemaker and that.
a lot of people don't give them I don't know what the right phrasing I want to use is, but they think that they're not good actors because they come from wrestling.
Yeah,
and
the
I
acting
actually-
is
I
very
actually
like,
think-
yeah,
Sure, it's over the top and it's
Mhm.
bombastic and stuff, and but I do think it at least gives them a leg up off of a nobody that just comes in off the street and has never had any acting or done any acting before in their life. I think that there's some of that stuff that does translate over. It's just a matter of toning it down and refining and honing the skills that they developed in their wrestling performances. And
yeah.
you know, obviously, like you said, John Cena and The Rock have been able to make that transition very successfully.
Yeah, I mean, even Batista too. He's
Yeah.
good
Oh, yeah,
with the
that's
comedic
right.
timing,
Yep.
just like John Cena is for sure.
At
And
the
he gets
core of
better
it,
and better and better. Like he's
wrestlers.
do
Oh, go
what?
ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No, what were you saying?
I was just saying, like at the core of it, wrestlers are actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, it's a
Exactly.
It's a different
thing.
kind of
Yeah, it's
acting,
more
but-
of like it could be harder in a lot of ways because it's like stage performing because
It
it's
really
all
is.
Yeah.
live. You know,
Yeah.
most
Yep.
of it's live. They have their pre-filmed stuff, but I mean, they got to go out every night in front of thousands of people.
yeah.
And like, yeah, they're over the top, so they can get away with some real cheesy stuff here and there. But in the end, it's still like it's a different line of work on a lot of levels, but it's very similar in that. But
Well, you made a
Batista
great
was
point
freaking-
about calling out Batista because, like, honestly, I forgot for a minute that he was even a wrestler to begin with. Like, I
Right,
just
yeah,
think of him as the actor that he is now. And you know, The Rock, and I was watching The Rock when he was a wrestler, and my experience with John Cena was very heavily influenced from when he was a wrestler. So you know, that's I do think of them naturally as that I know where that they come from, but. As far as Batista, I never had a strong wrestling connection with him. It wasn't until he became an actor. So yeah, it's interesting that way.
Yeah, and he got his role in Blade Runner 2049, albeit small, was his first actual like dramatic work, really, and he
Yeah.
did great. Like, you know, so it's like when they get the right director and the right like script and like they're good. I mean, Denis Villeneuve brought Batista back because he did Blade Runner 2049, but he brought him back and he's in Dune. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
I mean, Denis was obviously able to get some good stuff out of him. So like so I'm excited to see him in Blade Runner, or not Blade, but Dune now too. Like, so yeah, I'm happy for them all, man, because they all deserve more. I know like The Rock obviously gets a ton of credit at this point, but like wrestlers, I think you can get some credit. Really, you give them the right chance, the right director, they can do some
Don't
really
sleep
good
on 'em.
work. Yeah, you don't sleep on them, for sure. You can't see John Cena as it is half
No.
the time, so like it is what it is.
He could be in the room right now.
Right, he very well could be. He could be right there by your Grogu, there, man.
Oh God.
The question is, guys, what do you think about this, or do you think that this kind of indicates that The Rock is indeed going to be filming this Black Adam movie soon, maybe within the next 2 years, that we could actually see Black Adam? That's what I'm hoping. But let us know what you think down in the comment section below. All right, guys, so our penultimate topic here before we get into our WandaVision spoiler review and discussion, which I'm excited for, because episode 5, rather, was some good stuff. So I'm excited to talk about that. But the first thing we have here to go through is we got some confirmation on the Falcon and Winter Soldier of a new Avenger being added to the roster. That maybe there'll be more, but we know War Machine now is actually going to be in Falcon and Winter Soldier at some point, which definitely makes a lot of sense. So I'm happy to see that. That's going to be cool, because I feel like Don Cheadle's War Machine he's not underused, but you could always use more of him. I feel like I think that's a good way of explaining that, at least my opinion. And then we have a Wakanda TV series coming from Ryan Coogler that should be coming. And like to note, I don't know if it was announced in this, but it goes on to say that in the article here that Ryan Coogler had signed like pretty much a first look deal with Disney, which is huge on Disney's part, to have like his production company just like they get first dibs on anything to come out of them. So a good way to utilize that is like, hey, why don't you make more Black Panther related stuff? And we're going to be getting that soon, so that's cool. Then we got our set photos here, and maybe I should say, if you are worried about spoilers for Thor Ragnarok, or not Ragnarok, but Thor Love and Thunder in any way, shape, or form, it depends on what you consider a spoiler, because all this stuff's already public information at this point, for the most part. But this does have some behind-the-scenes photos of Thor Love and Thunder that, I don't know, if you don't get on the internet ever, then you may not know about this stuff, but just figured I'd let you know.
These aren't official shots that the company, that Disney released. These are paparazzi photos. So that by their nature, they may be spoilerish, just because of the source. But
they aren't revealing anything that hasn't already been essentially revealed prior to this. It's just photographic confirmation of pre-existing evidence. You know what I mean? So and Chris Hemsworth it's funny, there's a picture here, and I'm sure it's in this thread here, where you can see Chris Hemsworth's stunt double, and Chris Hemsworth is in far better shape. Normally it's the other way around. But yeah, so these set photos, though, we'll get into these first, because it's not a whole lot. It's just the cast of the Guardians are just being seen on the set here. So they're filming this right now down in Australia, and we have some shots of Hemsworth here, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm curious about the outfit more than anything, because he's wearing like the wife beater and the blue jeans, but then there's another shot of him in like a leather like vest, I think. Can't remember. It should come up here.
Talking to Chris Pratt, it looked like in the first picture.
Yeah, there was a bunch of pictures. Where's the full thread on this, man? This one's just the 3. Let me see if I can find the other ones, because there was some that had like more that I found before.
You can just click on that Love and Thunder hashtag, it might jump over.
True.
See if that'll bring up.
Yes,
there's one.
Here's one. Yeah. See, there's the vest. I'm talking like it's the outfits. Like I was the most curious thing that like I thought was like the outfits, man.
Yeah.
Like a Star-Lord's wearing his like normal looking gear, but like with some souped up
like some
tech,
armor on there. Yeah.
Like on his arms, but it's just normal looking attire for the most part. But Thor, what the hell is he rocking, dude? Like.
He looks like a biker or something.
Yeah, he's really doing the Love and Thunder look.
Seriously, look at those arms.
Yeah, dude, Hemsworth jack.
The shoulders. God, he's huge.
Do you want a room, dude? Do we need to leave?
Oh, I'm jealous. I'm mired. I'm jealous.
Where's this picture of this?
Yeah,
man. I need to find this.
I was kind of wondering if I could dye my hair and maybe pull off the Thor look for Halloween this year, but man, I've got to hit the gym hardcore between now and then.
You know what you could do? You could be the Tom Hiddleston version of Thor that we almost got, because he was nowhere near as jacked, and he has the
That's right.
photos of him and everything. So
Yeah.
you could,
Yep.
like, 'cause I mean, not Chris Hemsworth is far superior genetics than most people in the world. So
He's a specimen, yeah.
it's very unreasonable for anybody to ever think they could look like him. Okay, like it's just not going to happen. like unfortunately out there,
Yeah.
no amount of steroids are going to make you look like that. So don't try that either. It's not going to work. Then we had some Sean Gunn out here, which there is some interesting stuff with Sean Gunn's appearance on here, because if you remember his character from the other Guardians movies, he was in there before as a part of the Ravagers and everything, and he also plays Groot, not the voice, but does the CG work for him, the green screen suit stuff. But he's wearing what's his name? Yondu's
Yeah.
mohawk, and then there's
Yep.
another shot where you can actually see his little whistle arrow thing too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he seems to have,
What are those white cup things they're all holding? I noticed in like every picture they've got that little white. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's interesting. Maybe it's a COVID precaution thing. If it's something they would use to,
Yeah, it could be.
is it tracking for COVID contact purposes? Like if they
That's true.
know who they
Yeah.
come in contact with based off of them carrying those around.
Yeah,
don't
who
know.
knows? I mean, it could be a lot of things, really. I have no idea.
Yeah.
People have already done fan art just from the paparazzi
I know,
pictures.
dude. And we had another shot of Nebula
See,
here.
she's holding one too.
What if they're just like megaphones?
But hey,
Just because I mean, they got all these big ass like heavy machinery things around. Maybe it's just like loud there.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, there's some Natalie Portman,
horse.
because
Huh.
she's kind of holding it up like she's talking about. Now I am curious of what the hell these things are.
Oh, is it a
Right.
fan? Is it just a handheld
Ooh,
fan? Like
Dude, I
pull
think that
themselves off?
is it. Yeah, that might actually
Okay.
be it. Maybe it like shoots mist out
Little
too.
personal,
Yeah.
air conditioner.
Because yeah, I mean, you gotta think they're in Australia.
Australia.
Yeah,
It's hot down there.
it is. I don't know what that one was. It didn't sound Australian. Yes. Yes. I can't find the stump photo picture, damn it. Oh yeah, then there was this like goat thing here, or there's this horse.
Looks like a horse with goat eyes.
Yeah, it looks weird. Probably an alien thing. I don't know. Like with like a fake mask on it. Or maybe just a prop in general. Damn, dude, where's this? Just take my word for it. Chris Hemsworth is bigger than a stunt double, okay? It's not hard to
Yeah.
imagine. All right. He's a big
Yeah.
ass dude. He's looking good.
We have not seen Thor since
Oh yeah.
the end of Endgame,
Uh-huh.
correct?
Yeah. No,
So we haven't seen trimmed down Thor yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, dude. I'm still hoping for the Rocky montage of like them building a Bowflex, because he makes the joke like, "I'm going to get in shape. I'm gonna
Yeah.
commit. I'm going to get a Bowflex or whatever." You know what I mean? Like, so I hope they do that, or at
Yeah,
least
that
when
would be
they show
awesome.
like a training montage, you see Star-Lord struggling to build a Bowflex, while Thor just like lets lightning hit him, and then all his calories are burned instantly, and he's just shredded, or something. Like, I hope they
Yeah.
have fun with that. I could also see, I know Taika Waititi said that you're not going to see Fat Thor again because he felt like the joke was played out, which I totally agree. Like, we didn't need to see more scenes of him as Fat Thor. But
Yeah.
I'd like the intro to Thor: Love and Thunder, just to have it over like the credit montage at the beginning. I think that would be. I
Yeah.
think that would be worth it. Just to have it
Have
get it
like
out of the way.
training to
Yeah, have him like run up the stairs like G2, just something. I don't know. just
same
something.
music and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like why the hell not? I think that would be good.
I think it's this is more story like driven, but I think it's interesting that we're getting the Guardians in the Thor movie versus, I don't know why, but at the end of Endgame when we saw Thor jump on the Guardian ship, my assumption was Thor would be showing up in the next Guardians movie, not the Guardians would be showing up in the next Thor
Yeah.
movie. So it's interesting to me that that's how it looks like that's going to play out. Now, I had heard that James Gunn obviously had written and was in line to do the third Guardians movie, and maybe he didn't have plans to use Thor, so they, folded that story beat into the new Thor movie in order to pay off what was set up in there. I'm curious how much of this was planned out ahead and how much of it was kind of switched on the fly with how Endgame ended.
Yeah, my guess is because when he had when James Gunn had his brief stint unemployed from Marvel, we'll just say,
Mhm.
he had already completed Guardians 3, like entirely, written it already. Not completed the
Sure.
movie, but written the movie.
Yeah.
So then, by virtue of that, Endgame comes out during or around that time after the fact. So my guess is either, like you said, he just didn't have any plans for it to begin with because he had already had his script written. And I mean, granted, now he's had plenty of time since then to completely change his initial drafts of the script. Like, who knows? But yeah, my guess is just that like Thor and Love and Thunder obviously hadn't been written at all, so it was probably easier for Taika to just include it in. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because especially even if it's just in the beginning, like the intro to Guardians 2, if it's just a very similar quick thing like that, where it's like the credits are playing over top of them being on this mission, where you get like the Drax inside of the thing and like Baby Groot dancing around, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
pays no burden to the rest of the actual story of the movie, but it explains it all right there. Like, and then maybe they go their separate ways right after this intro montage-y scene. And then we get the whole, because you got to think, Guardians are here, but we also are getting Jane Foster, Thor. Rumors of, I'm pretty sure there were rumors that Beta Ray Bill might actually be in this one. So, like, it could be a lot of stuff going on in this movie. Like,
Mhm.
to even include the Guardians. And not to mention, Thor is Thor. Like, you don't even need the Guardians. Like, the Thor he doesn't need their help in any way. Like, in all honesty. Like, so, I mean, who knows what's going on with it. What do you guys think about our boy Don Cheadle showing up in Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I think that's sweet. War Machine's like one of my favorite Marvel characters, so
Do you
more
feel
War
like he's
Machine,
underused?
no
Because I don't
problems.
feel like he's underused, but I feel like we could just use more of him.
Yeah, I think
You know what I
more
mean?
screen time, not a
Yeah.
bad thing.
I think underused is a good evaluation. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, he was in. God,
He's
I'm
been
trying
in
to. He
so
was in
many movies.
Endgame. Yeah, but his roles, like even
they're always
I guess
small.
he was pretty central to Civil War. He wasn't as big of a key
Yeah.
player in Civil War as Bucky was, but his vision knocking him out of the sky and crippling him was a huge turn in that movie. So, you know, he played a major part in that. But I do think he's, you know, I mean, especially since the Iron Man movies ended, he's been sort of, I would say he's been underutilized.
Yeah, I mean,
that is true.
they've had so much going on. Like, the
True.
MCU is pretty overcrowded in a lot of ways. So it's like, if he doesn't have, really, if like any character doesn't have their own movie, you could argue everyone's underused in some way. Like, you
Sure.
know, but
Well,
yeah,
and
I don't know. Like, yeah.
with Tony being gone now, I mean, he kind of fills that armored, you know, metallic.
The Iron
I don't
Man
know.
void.
Well, I'm trying the Iron Man. I was trying to say Iron Man without saying Iron Man. I guess I should just
Right.
say Iron. He fills that Iron Man slot on the team, but kind of in a different way. He plays, you know, to go to kind of RPG. He plays a tank kind of role now for them. Like
Yeah.
he's heavy damage. He can take some damage himself. I also think it's very interesting that they're bringing. You know, I mean, Cap and Iron Man were kind of the as a dichotomy of the first 10 years of the Marvel universe, and now that they're both gone, it's interesting that the first, you know, Captain America centric show that comes out, or Captain America centric thing that comes out, obviously with the connection to Bucky and Sam, that they're going to bring an Iron Man character into it, which I think is perfectly. It's probably a smart idea or a smart story point on their part. I like seeing them keep those two. If this was Game of Thrones, I'd say keep those two families connected. So
Yeah, and plus too, like in Infinity War, Don Cheadle and Anthony Mackie's, War Machine and Falcon characters, they had a lot of like interplay between each other during like the
yeah,
Wakanda invasion scene and everything. So and they were working tandem, as the two flight based characters there holding the front line. So like, and they just had a lot of character interplay. So and then they obviously had that scene in Civil War that caused him to plummet. Like that was him chasing, Falcon
right.
in that scene and everything. So they alone have their own, history and everything. So like I could see him coming in for support for the Falcon character in some way, especially now that Falcon is in some way picking up that Captain America mantle, which has always been loosely connected to the government, military official in some way, and War Machine has always been a servant of the government, the American government. So yeah, we should see. I think it's interesting. Isn't he getting his own? Didn't they say that he's getting his own show, or was that an animated thing? For that,
War
like,
Machine?
War Machines, or remember?
Oh,
For
that's
Disney
part of the
Plus?
I think that's part of the What If series. I think there's going to be an episode that focuses on Armor Wars.
Yeah, Armor Wars, that's what it was.
Yeah. I think I think it was part of What If.
I remember them announcing it. I don't know if there was really any, like, super intense details about it. I thought it said that it was, like, a War Machine show, but I couldn't remember if it was gonna be animated
Now that you're
or
saying
not.
that, I have to look it up because they may have announced an Armor Wars.
They did. I'm like 90% certain that's what it was called, because then they also announced, Ironheart, so
Yeah,
it's like
no, you're right. You're exactly right. It's a show that's going to be on Disney Plus. It's
Yeah.
Armor Wars.
Yeah.
So yeah,
which is gonna be I wonder if it's gonna have any tie-in, like, if it maybe it sets up his thing. It probably would, right?
sure.
Since this is coming out
Sure.
first, it probably would at least serve to set up his arc for
It's
why
going
we're
to be
getting it.
interesting. My impression so far is that Disney and Marvel MCU, Marvel Studios is using their Marvel shows. I don't think they're using them same way. Like we're getting Mandalorian season 1 and 2 and hopefully 3 here. I don't know that we're going to get WandaVision season 2 or Falcon and Winter Soldier season 3. I feel like these are all going to be their own standalone miniseries, and you're just going to have successive miniseries all with their own, branding and different arcs. I don't know that we're going to get them in the traditional. We had WandaVision season 1, so we'll get WandaVision season 2. So
Yeah.
Armor Wars may pick up directly from where Falcon and Winter Soldier stops
Yeah.
off. That may be a pseudo season 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier, depending on how much of a player War Machine is in that series.
Yeah, and then they could, like, kind of bounce back and forth between the two.
Yeah, he didn't,
Kind
he
of
didn't-
like the Mandalorian's doing.
Well, he didn't mention how much he's actually going to be in the show. It just says he's guest starring.
Yeah.
So
That's why I
True.
was leaning
Yep.
towards the kind of makes an appearance, vaguely sets up what he's going to be doing for his own show.
yeah,
That would make sense. Because if it's going to be quick, probably not much he'll do to help them out in whatever they're doing. But it could kind of be like, well, this is what he's up to, and that's what the show is going to be about. And then he could serve his little purpose for helping them out for whatever they need, and then boom. But I was under the same impression as you with... And this kind of like with the information we were beginning is these seemed like they were all going to be kind of one-off things until that article came out about the Loki, the showrunner for Loki writing the Star Wars movie for Kevin Feige. In that article, it said that there was going to be a Loki season 2.
You're right. I forgot about that. Yep.
That could have just been a misphrase in the article, like who knows? Because it's not like that came straight from Kevin Feige or anything, but. I don't know, but that doesn't mean everyone's going to get a season 2, by all means, because, it looks on all counts that WandaVision is leading into, we know it's going into the Spider-Man 3 and then Doctor Strange 2 arc, so presumably that's all going to be wrapped up. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll have to see. It's all up in the air. And like all things, though, money talks. So if this Falcon and Winter Soldier thing is a massive hit for them, they'll obviously make more if they can, why would they not? And then the Wakanda TV series here, this just kind of opens up limitless possibilities. There's really no downside to this, and it makes sense that they're going to do it because it was really, of all the Marvel shows they announced for Disney Plus, there was no Wakanda-related ones at all mentioned, I think, from what I can remember. So and they could go in a lot of different ways with this. They could explore the different clans that are all there, part of Wakanda. They could do prequel stuff. They could do... I don't know, limitless things, because Wakanda's almost like its own alien world,
Yeah.
So I don't know, just
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, they could do. I don't know, the limitless possibilities. They have great side characters that were set up in Black Panther alone, so it could focus on
Well,
them. Like, who knows?
I also think it's really impressive that they're keeping Ryan Coogler.
Oh, yeah.
It's his production studio that's going to do it, because obviously, since it's in his production studio, that he'll be involved. While he may not be the director, or he may not even be scripting a lot of it, I'm sure that he'll have plenty of input into how it comes together. So you keep the feel of it the same as what you got in the movies.
Yeah, 100%. That's like the smarter way to do it too, since he
Yeah.
set up, like I said, it's like Wakanda was its own alien kind of thing with their technology. It was all new stuff, and like it was all a product of Ryan Coogler. So it just makes sense to like have him come back and set up whatever else it is. There's just so much they could do with it. So I mean, it'd be really cool to see where they go with it. I mean, you just like an M'Baku show would be cool. Like, you know,
Yep.
like a show about the Dora Milaje would be cool. Like anything, the whole world of Wakanda was like, in my opinion, the coolest part about Black Panther.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
like just the whole
Visually, it was stunning
it
too.
was great. Like the lore behind it, the look of it, it's all cool. So I mean, they really can't go wrong with doing it. All the characters were good, so I don't know.
It's such a smart, like, I feel like it's also a really smart just business move too, because all the set design and everything for that has all been done already. I mean, you know, you obviously had Wakanda appear in Black Panther, so and then Infinity War. So you don't have to, a lot of that design work that goes into it, even I would guess a lot of the recreation of the buildings and the architecture and stuff, like you can just, I'm guessing a lot of that is in computer models and stuff that they already have, that they can then retool and not necessarily have to build from the ground up, which when you're doing a television show with a limited budget allows you to put that money towards other things. So it's a smart business move too, I think, to revisit that world.
Yeah, they could
Like,
probably use a lot of the assets, and it would be a great show that could really utilize the volume that Mandalorian uses.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
big CG room, or the screen room. 'Cause,
Unreal
like,
Engine and all that.
yeah, you pop
Yep.
freaking Wakanda behind you. You can be anywhere in Wakanda with a click of a button. Like,
Yeah.
it would really serve this show really well. That's what I was always. I gotta imagine they're probably gonna build more. Like Disney's gonna build more of these volumes with all the shows that they're gonna be doing. Like they got like 9 Star Wars shows coming out, 9 plus. Like they got like 10 of each of their shows in their big franchises between Star Wars and Marvel. They got like 20 shows in production at some point. And if they only got one volume, it's gonna be hard to film all these things.
Yeah.
Like, so I gotta imagine they're gonna make a ton of these little rooms so they could just do this. That's the great thing about that volume setup is like you can literally get so much done in real time and make changes in real time and just like I don't know. I would love to work in that environment. It'd be so easy to just get stuff done.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it though. You guys want to add anything else about any of these topics?
No,
Nah.
All right. Well, then the question is, guys, what do you think about this? What do you think about War Machine coming into Falcon and Winter Soldier? Do you think he's going to come in and actually play like a central role to that story? Or do you kind of think like I'm thinking that it's like going to be a way for him to come in, help them out through their thing, and then maybe set up his Armor Wars show in some way, just to like kind of let the audience know where that's going to go in some way? And then the Wakanda TV series, limitless possibilities, really, again. And then the Thor Love and Thunder set picks. What did you think about those? Let us know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So our final topic here is going to be our WandaVision episode 5 spoiler discussion here. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, then come back. I'm sure everybody's seen it by now. But just right up the top, I'm going to go ahead and say that this was my favorite episode, I think. Wrong button. This was my favorite episode, I think, here. I don't know about you guys, but like I loved it. We got so many answers in this one. So this is the greatest part about this show, in my opinion, too, is that like they do a really good job. I mean, subtract the first 3 episodes from this equation, really, but because that was like a lot of like intrigue and setup for the most part. But ever since then, they've done a great job of answering a ton of questions while setting up a ton of questions. So like you're just constantly intrigued. But like you had me with episode 4, I think, for the most part. Like you had me. But then, like, you caught my attention, I guess, in episode 4. Like, you really had my attention. But then you got me with episode 5. Like, I was like, I'm in it now. Like, I was real into it. It was good stuff. And it wasn't just because of like the end scene or anything. That just opened up a lot of like possibilities.
Yeah.
And like we'll get into that here like soon. But one of the first things that I'm going to kick it off as, because it happened towards the beginning of the show, and then stop me if you want to address anything else prior. But the scene where we get this, this happened with I was going to say Agatha. Agnes comes in and does her whole little bit here with the kids, right? And then she like asks Wanda if she like wants to redo it and take it from the top, like as if it was like filming,
like an actual
show.
TV show.
And like,
she treats it like she goes to pick up the kids, and Vision like does the protective dad freak out, like, "Oh, are your hands washed? You know, make sure you support their neck. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Don't do it." And Agnes treats it like
he
wasn't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
He went off script, and she was actually supposed to pick the kids up, and she breaks the scene completely. And then she asks Wanda, like, "Do you want to just take it from the top?"
Yeah, and that it goes back to with that scene. What was it, like episode 3 or 4? Whichever one where Herb was cutting through the wall. I think it was 3.
I think that was 3.
Yeah. And like in that
Three.
scene there where Vision's like outside and Herb wants to tell him something, but then she looks to him like, no. I said it for sure from then on that like she's on the uppity up in some way. Like she knows what's going on.
But how?
Exactly. That's the thing at this point now, because obviously people think like Agatha Harkness and all that, and like I don't. That doesn't really seem to fit, and like, and all that. I don't. It depends on what they do with the character.
Yeah.
If it were to be this Agatha Harkness thing, I don't know.
Yeah, she goes through some weird. Even in this scene here, like when he says no, 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 she like visibly her whole demeanor changes. I understand like an actor being taken out of the scene and like do you want to? But her whole demeanor changes, and it's like she gets scared. And then when they do go back into the scene, when they get over this uncomfortable moment where she's questioning if they need to restart, she's right back into her sitcom character mode.
Yeah.
And there's very little. It's like it's done just like that. It's the blink of an eye. She switches from the scared, concerned, trapped person in that universe to the sitcom character. And I'm curious if it's not if it is Wanda's spell that's causing all this, if it isn't Wanda's spell wearing off for that moment and then kicking back in, or if it is her with a constant. I felt like if she was constantly aware that this was all being done by Wanda, it wouldn't happen as quickly as it does. But again, that's my own reading of it. I could be completely off. It gave me a different feel, but it could be that she is aware and she's just turning it off and on to stay on Wanda's good side.
I got the idea that she was aware just from that scene with the cutting through the wall and everything like that. Like, obviously, she knows something that Vision doesn't.
Yeah.
And
true.
I don't know. I mean,
well, that's the thing. Like with I think it was in this episode when Vision goes to work to his coworker, right?
Yeah,
he turns him off. Yeah.
Every character they've shown, and then like back in episode 2 when Dottie, the radio scene happens, and then Dottie's holding the glass, and then like once, because I said like way back when Wanda breaks character, the people she's around seem to break character as well, as if she had a spell going on, but when she's like drops the act and goes out of character, so do the people around her, so she like loses like hold on the spell, right?
Yeah.
And then when like, and that kind of goes to like that supported that with like Dottie kind of breaking out and saying like, who are you, whatever, when Wanda breaks character there. But the thing that's like weird, or I guess it has more implications now and kind of takes it another way, was Agnes in this scene, because like everyone else seemed to be under Wanda's spell, like in some way. I'm just calling it a spell. Because
Hex.
the hex, right?
Hex.
Because when Vision undoes the thing from Dude, he's like completely not in control.
No, and he's
Like at
terrified.
all. He's not aware. Like he's subconsciously aware that it's happening, but like Agnes is indicating that she is completely not under any sort of spell. Like she's just acting.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
what this implied to me, which could go one of two ways, really. If anything, this episode makes, at least in the way I interpret it, kind of goes to show that Wanda isn't actually 100% in control of all of this. Maybe there actually is something else in play here.
Yeah.
And another thing that kind of lent itself to that belief is like when Rambo gets thrown through the wall and comes out of the bubble of the hex, she immediately says like it's all Wanda. And that was like episode 4.
Yeah.
A little bit early to reveal what's actually going on, in my opinion. So I think that was actually a misdirect. Because like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? In like a lot of ways. Like, why would you just reveal that right away? Like, so it's
Well,
almost like immediately implies there's something else, if you want
Yeah.
to look at it that way.
Well, and it could be that Wanda is the one in control of everything, but that Wanda herself is being manipulated too. So
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
it could be not, it could be Rambo could be exactly correct that it is Wanda, that it's her powers that are causing all this, but that it's somebody else. There's some other influence affecting Wanda that we're not aware of yet.
I had another theory too, that if it's not someone else, because obviously a lot of people think that like there's someone else manipulating Wanda, but I had a theory too that like, because in this episode towards the end when her and Vision have that little spat and she's like lying to Vision about a lot of this stuff, and then like she says at one point like I don't even know how this started or something along those
Yeah.
lines, and but then she was also saying that like she was very contradictory to herself because she says that like she's in complete control, she knows what she's doing, but then she says like I don't even know how this started and all these things. So what something that just like popped in my head with it is like maybe like okay, this put tinfoil hat time because I have a couple theories here with this. Like we know in the comics that she can like manipulate reality, and we know in the movies that she was able to make you see things, like you know, like put the little things in people's heads and stuff. Made Tony see stuff, made everybody see stuff. So I had a theory that perhaps to deal with her grief, Wanda was using her powers on herself, making her see things that like made her not think about
Yeah.
the stuff in her life, right? Because she can do that in the movies. So I thought, well, maybe she just started doing that to herself, and then maybe it put her in like almost like a catatonic state to where maybe it like because she was in there, she has lost grip on reality altogether and doesn't know like use the power on kind of like people who like get like substance abuse addictions and things like that. They just start to lose a grip on reality.
Yeah.
And like so she keeps going into this state to where she's seeing all this like stuff, this fake stuff that she's making her see, but like maybe while she was in this weird state, her powers essentially evolved, and like so she doesn't even know that she was actually manipulating reality. Like maybe she thinks she's just doing this to herself
Yeah.
and is not even aware that all this stuff around her is actually happening. You know what I mean? Because she seems to like be going in and out of it a lot. And what?
I think that's I've kind of been leaning into a split personality type situation though too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very similar.
Even similar, but because there are moments where she looks genuinely confused and befuddled about what is going on, like when
With
the
the
guy started
drone?
choking at dinner before she had Vision remove the food from his throat. And even in this scene that we were talking about where Agnes breaks character, Wanda kind of is thrown for a loop, like, what do you mean? Do you want me to take it from the top and stuff? So
Exactly. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I feel like that's entirely possible that she is she's got maybe there's but then she comes out of the bubble and she confronts the shield officer and she very fully like looks like she knows what's going on, and she gives them an ultimatum about like, look, this is my deal, leave me the hell alone,
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah,
like,
and
she definitely has an idea of what's
full
happening.
accent too.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Sokovian accent came back.
Sokovian accent comes back. So
It's like
so
yeah.
I think there could be different personas inside of Wanda. They're fighting for control, or at least,
Yeah.
One has the reins and one doesn't.
Right. And that's the thing too, like another thing that I thought of that would kind of go hand in hand with the Agatha Harkness thing, if people want to like go with that, maybe this Agnes character really is Agatha Harkness, okay? Maybe she, and like if they could even say she was a witch. Like I don't really like this one as much, but this is another one I kind of thought of, like just to kind of like bleed into the Agatha Harkness thing that everybody wants to go with. Maybe she is Agatha Harkness, and she helped Wanda like hone her abilities to actually perform the more witchcrafty stuff, like you're actually seeing happen. Because like in the movies, she could never really do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
that would
maybe-
explain why she's there, like almost like supervising.
Yeah,
everything that's
exactly.
going
So
on.
she's like helping her along and doing this, like to help Wanda hone her abilities, and like maybe that's what it started out with, and maybe it's just kind of like lost control to begin with. Like Wanda has just kind of lost control. I kind of like the idea of maybe she was just using it on herself, and because she was doing that, her powers just kind of unwittingly have evolved, and like she's not even like necessarily fully aware of like everything that's happening, because like the split personality thing kind of takes hold.
It could also be like I'm going to go really tinfoil hat on this one, but if she is using the power, if she did start using the powers on herself to give herself some reprieve from all the loss and sorrow that she was feeling, it could be that when she put herself into this other state to try and deal with that, she also in a unwitting way removed the barriers that kept her from accessing how it could be that her powers have always been this strong, and she just mentally had put up barriers to keep not only herself but other people safe from the full extent of her powers. But then when she put herself into this other state to deal with her sorrow, she took those barriers down, and now, unbeknownst to her, is accessing the full potential of her powers.
Yeah, or just wasn't even aware of it, and just because she's in this state has like like Legion. He can just do like he can pretty much take anybody's power, right? He creates a multiple personality, now he can do it. Maybe like when she starts doing this on herself, her powers just evolved, and she can do these things. Like she's always been able to, but was never able to do it before, and now she can. And like
she knows how.
it's just
now,
kind of happening, yeah. Like, I don't know. It could be a lot of things. But then another thing that was weird about the Agnes character, obviously, here is like, and the kids, they went from like 1 to, or not even 1, they went from like a day to 5 to 10, and Agnes didn't blink an eye.
No.
Like,
and she even said, she's just like, oh, growing kids. Like,
yeah. And then like later, with like the dog thing happens, she, like Wanda uses her powers right in front of Agnes. She doesn't quote unquote see it, but the kids grew up again, right after that.
Yeah.
Like right in front of her to be 10. Didn't care.
To be fair, the house and the furniture and the setting have all been changing too as it's been going along, and none of the other people have seemed, for lack of a better way, aware of the settings changing dramatically in between episodes.
What did you think of Baby Vision, though?
I thought that was funny.
I thought this was great.
That's adorable.
People were saying that it was creepy. I'm like, dude, it's cute as hell. What are you talking about? Like, look at this thing. It looks so good. I just want to get a nice shot of it, man. I think you get a good shot of this. Because like, and then like I saw someone saying like, all right, now who's cuter, Baby Groot, Grogu, or Baby Yoda, or Baby Vision? Like,
Grogu, hands down.
It's obviously Grogu, 100%. You can't beat Grogu, but this is not creepy at all. Like, come on, people, it's not creepy. It's cute. It's adorable. Like,
Yeah.
And then I thought it was super funny though too. Though I gotta say, like when he's the teenager and he's just like with his hair. Oh my god, that was ridiculous. No,
I'm curious if there's anything on that blackboard. Like, A, if the math is all correct on that, but B, if there's any kind of hint or anything in the math that's on that. I'm waiting for somebody on Reddit to decipher all that and let us know if there's anything that gives any clues to what's going on in
Well,
there.
this says V to the third power, so maybe we have 3 visions.
Three
We have
visions.
a live vision, we have the
Dead vision.
WandaVision, and then dead vision.
There you go.
Mind blown. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, and then we have what else? Oh yeah, then so we have Monica Rambeau here. Everyone's freaking out about this astro engineer or aerospace engineer, and yet she was gonna call, and she knows one to go make this little car for her to get back in there, right? Who people are speculating that it would be. Everyone wants to say it's Reed Richards, okay? But the showrunner said that the Fantastic Four is not in this. Now, that's exactly what somebody who knew the Fantastic Four was in it would say. But at the same time, I don't really have any reason to doubt that. And why would you bring in Reed Richards just to bring him in for this?
Yeah.
Right. This is
Like-
not the place you introduce them. And that's not the way you introduce
Yeah, it's pointless.
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
It's completely pointless. Now, and the fact that they said engineer, I mean, the only engineer we actually know is Scott Lang that we've been introduced to.
It's true.
It's like technical engineer, like
I
not
mean,
an
what about-
aerospace engineer technically, but
I hate to I mean, it's an out there thing, but what about the kid that Tony Stark gave the suit to or gave the new equipment to in Iron Man 2 that's for some reason came back at the end of Endgame?
yeah, that could
You know,
be.
I mean, that random kid shows up like he's the only one that randomly shows up at the funeral at the end of Endgame. Like, are they going to try and weave him back in there? Could he be the Tony Stark tech side or the creator side of Tony Stark for the MCU going forward?
It could. They could. I mean, that'd be somebody they could bring back, and it's Easter eggy enough. Like that's something.
yeah.
Like, because I
Yeah.
mean, I just don't know who else it would be, and like, again, not a way to introduce Fantastic Four. So I don't
I
really
don't-
think that's not.
I don't know how Monica would know him though, so that's a
Yeah,
they're-
'cause
they
they-
have a connection that
They
would
played
work,
that
but,
scene
but
up.
we don't know how she would know Mr. Fantastic either. So.
Yeah, but they definitely played the scene up. Like they're like she on camera very visibly was like smile like, oh, I know an aerospace engineer who'd be up for this, and then they zoom in on her holding the phone as if it's a big deal. If it was just a
Yeah.
throwaway thing, they wouldn't have even told us any of that. They wouldn't even
Yeah.
set that up. So I'm definitely expecting some sort of cameo. Or it's gonna be even if it's not a pre-existing person. Like I'm expecting whoever they call in for that to have a name, right? Someone we know. Like I would guess.
Yeah.
And then like this scene too was pretty funny with this guy. I can't remember his name. Hayward, something. I don't know. Douchey McDouche,
Yeah. He's a
pretty
dick.
much. At the same time, though, I will say, with the whole scene where he like has the drone, he's not completely unfounded. Like there is logic behind it. Like it's like Wanda is holding almost 4,000 people hostage. She literally used to work for Hydra and all this. Like he's not crazy. Like it's very realistic
No,
that
he's
he
just-
would just go ahead and do that. From a military standpoint, it's fine. Like he's not like we know.
Neutralize the threat.
Yeah, like we
Yeah.
know that Wanda's good, right? I mean, like that's fine, but like you can't deny that Wanda's like a little fucking crazy right now. But
Oh yeah.
like you know what I mean?
to say
Like,
the least.
yeah, so not all bad. Like it makes sense what he's doing. But I like the scene because he's like, does she doesn't have any fancy nicknames? Not a one. Like not just really insinuating that like she's never been called Scarlet Witch. We get it. Like,
Yeah.
like we get it. Then the one thing too, again, stop me if I skip over something, because things are popping into my head that I wanted to talk about here. Not the dog thing, but the thing with her Kevlar. So we find out, I think it was like shortly after this, 'cause this is the aerospace engineer scene and everything. Her suit, though, we find out that once you go into the hex, the stuff that's on you is converted to fit the time period. Like that was confirmed. That's why the drone goes in and then it looks a different way. And that's why the beekeeper went in and then it looked a different way. and like when it was just it wasn't a beekeeper to start with. The only thing I still don't understand about that is the actual bees.
Yeah, that's what
Why
I'm
are they
saying.
there? And then the only thing I could think of was the fact that he had like a radio on, so it was like radio chatter, and his ear was like a buzzing bee, and it's just like a visual metaphor for radio chatter, like buzzing, things buzzing.
I
don't
think
know.
the bees. I honestly, I think the bees were just they were to fit the why if there's a beekeeper coming up out of the ground, a beekeeper would have bees around him. I think that was just to
But he wasn't
go
holding
with.
a honey tray that bees would be on. He just comes out with
The
bees
don't
around him.
need honey.
No, but that's when a
Maybe-
beekeeper would have
maybe
bees with
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Like if he's going
Like a
to
piece
their
of
nest
hive.
to get-
I
yeah.
understand, but it just adds more. I don't think there's anything more to it. Like it's not. There's not going to be a reveal later on that the bees were some other thing, that they were like little.
No.
Oh yeah, I
drones or
don't think that
something.
either.
I think the bees legit were just there to
A visual representation.
to explain why the guy's in a beekeeper. He's in a beekeeper suit because there's a bee there. Of course, that makes sense. If they're bees, you're gonna have a beekeeper suit on.
Yeah. I just don't
think it was-
logically think it makes sense for that. Like he goes through in a regular suit, what turned into the bees? Because we're being told by the
Yeah.
show that what you're wearing turns into something to
Part of-
fit
part
the
of-
time period.
part of it. Yeah, I think this is a very
good point.
important scene because it says that Wanda is not. If it's Wanda that is transforming all this stuff, and we see her in some of the preview episodes, and we've seen her in this show transform things into other things. But I think it's taking what's the law of there's some cosmic law where matter can't be energy
Created or
can't be
destroyed.
destroyed or created.
Yeah.
And so I think it's basically going with that theory that Wanda can't actually just create things out of nothing, but she can tweak things and make things into something else.
Manipulate it, yeah.
So like for his bee suit, maybe some of the radio equipment he had on that he was using to communicate with Sword got converted into the bees, and his suit is what got converted into. I mean, that's my explanation for it. I'm not really that worried. Like that he would need some kind of like organic matter on him to be changed into the bees. That was just because Wanda even herself, like, it doesn't make sense. Why is a beekeeper coming up out of the sewer? That makes no sense either.
At
So
night, yeah.
knew the whole thing was too far off and completely rewound the scene to cut it all out because she knew it just didn't fit within what was going on. So, but I do think this scene is important because of that idea that she can't actually create new things, but she can manipulate things that exist or that are there.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what the whole Kevlar thing, like that's what they even come to the conclusion of. Like, she's manipulating reality, right? She's trained. It's like transmog if you play games. Like, you have your armor that looks like it is, but you can make it look like something else.
Yeah.
Transmog, and as opposed to creating life. Like, they even say when the dog thing dies, she's like, well, I can't just like heal people or bring people back from the dead or whatever.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Dead Vision and some segue to it. That kind of implies that when she broke out to get Vision, this Vision that we have now obviously isn't just the reanimated corpse of Vision, because in that scene he's in a bunch of different pieces. Which honestly begs the question too: is how'd they get him in these different pieces? Because he's vibranium. So how did he even get shredded?
I mean, Captain America's shield is vibranium. They were able to sculpt it into a shield and stuff. So, I mean, they have ways of working with vibranium.
Yeah.
I guess.
So, I mean, that's not. I mean, or King T'Challa let him borrow the technology to work on it.
But what it implied was that so she took the pieces of Vision, and now this new Vision is literally a new Vision in a lot of ways. The only thing that still doesn't make a whole lot of sense is him having his powers, because he doesn't have the Mind Stone, but he still has the powers of the Mind Stone. Like, he can still do everything he could do before, for the most part. Like, we haven't seen him not be able to do something that he couldn't do before. He can still phase. He can do the thing with, touching people's heads and doing their thing. Now, granted, yes, Wanda's powers were also given to her from the Mind Stone, so maybe he's got his powers because she did this in some way, but her powers are vastly different than his powers that he had with the Mind Stone itself. So that's still a question mark to me, in my opinion. I'm sure maybe we'll get it explained. Maybe we'll know as soon as he does break out of the wall. Maybe we'll see him just fall into all the pieces again.
Yeah,
You know,
that'd be weird.
like, I mean, that would make sense. Actually, it wouldn't make sense because her clothes did not go back.
No,
That's what that
when she
scene
came
proved.
out, she was still wearing them.
Yeah, like her scene proved that this whole scene dictates that whatever changes in there is permanent. Like it does happen
unless Wanda changes it back.
if she
The,
can.
the hex that Wanda has put on that area, the area of effect on these items, exists outside of it. I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah, no, that's what it should, because her suit changed and her suit remained the same when she came out. So like everything that's happening within there doesn't become undone once you leave.
Yeah.
So that just goes back to, like you said, like, if matter can't be created or destroyed, right? Then Wanda might not even be able to revert this.
Yeah.
Especially if she's not even the one fully in control. Like if there
I
is
think
someone else pulling the strings, or if it's her
But who?
alternate personalities doing it, like whatever, it might not be something that can physically be undone to begin with.
Yeah,
Is it the law of conservation? Is that the one I'm thinking? Is that right? Do you know?
that sounds
Conservation of energy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
Is that
like
what it is?
Okay.
I can't remember. I know the phrase "the matter can't be created or
Yeah.
destroyed." Energy can only be converted or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, but
Clearly, we're not physicists, so
No.
if you know in the comments, please fill us in. If you can
I think
explain
it's a
it in a
conservation of
better, more
energy.
concise way, yeah, I'd love to know if we're correct on that. How we're butchering it.
So we got
But yeah,
this. No, go on.
That guy.
If you-
So Vision gets the peek
who
into
sent
the
that
fact
email,
that
by the way?
even
That
though
was
he
weird.
knows things are off, he didn't know the extent that things were off, the
Mhm.
extent to which things were off, and he knows now that people are being hurt by what's going on.
Yeah, and he even says too, like, why can't I remember anything before Westview? And it's like, well, dude, you didn't exist before then.
This is true.
Like, because
Yeah.
he's not the same Vision he was before. He's this new Vision that she created.
Yeah,
Like, or at least
We
that
do
she
know
created.
his physical body though is the corpse. I mean, we saw the corpse walking around in the one episode. We saw him.
I don't think so.
maybe that was just.
I think
unless
that was her,
just
like,
you think that was
hallucinating.
just her
Yeah.
her remembering him with the hole in
Yeah.
his head?
I think it's her remembering that, like, Vision died. And because every movie has done that before, like any horror movie, like, it cuts to Rik here and then like this, right? But then it cuts back to me, just like, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And then it cuts back to whoever. Like, I think that's really all that was.
Yeah,
Because, again, her clothes, she was wearing Kevlar and then it turned into 70s clothes. And then she leaves and it's still 70 clothes. She has all the pieces of Vision, goes in there, and now we have Vision. So presumably speaking, like, this is how he really looks now.
And Vision could, in theory, if that's correct, he could leave and still be.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing is going to happen. Everyone's expecting him to just fall to pieces and stuff, but like the
I don't
show
think
is
that's
kind of
gonna happen.
proven that's not what's going to happen. Like,
No.
her suit didn't go back to a Kevlar vest; it stayed the clothes that was on.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. So I definitely don't think it was before this episode. I thought she was just reanimating his corpse. Like, and she kind of is in some way, I guess, because she had the corpse and now it's this. So, but it's not like literally a puppeteering of a. I didn't really think it was that. I
No,
think
I
she
mean,
just
it's
like
Vision.
fed energy into his dead corpse. You know what I mean? Which is
Yeah.
kind of what she did.
I'm sure they'll
But-
explain that at some point. But
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But then, yeah, but the email thing though too, it's like kind of weird that she just got he just got this random email that was just like an intel memo from Sword. Like, I don't know.
that was kind of strange.
I don't know why like he would have received it, who sent it, because it was
Well, I'm
addressed to
assuming-
Darcy.
I'm assuming that was just
Darcy.
intercepted unintentionally on, like, whatever Wanda's doing is still picking up stuff from the outside world, just like the radio signal went into the bubble from when Darcy and Agent Agent Wu
Jimmy
tried to
Woo.
contact her.
Oh, another thing. Speaking of agents, though, and the beekeeper, what happened to the beekeeper guy?
Yeah, seriously.
But we don't know yet. I don't know if we will know. I mean, it could be
He's
it
just
could be as
gone.
simple as, well, I can't remember if I feel like maybe they brought him up. Did they talk about him before? But I feel like it's as simple as just, I mean, in my head, if that never gets brought back up, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, because I feel like we saw what happened. No, we saw what happened with the major character Rambeau when Wanda decided she shouldn't be there anymore. She expelled her from the area. So in my head, she expelled the beekeeper. The beekeeper, when she rewound everything, the beekeeper went back down that sewer and back out the way he came through the tunnel and was just forcibly pulled, just as Monica was forcibly thrown out. And I mean, it's as simple as that in my head.
No, it's not, because you remember Agent Douchey Douche said that we now have first-hand account of someone who's came from inside the bubble thing. Franklin went in there too. They gave him a name, Agent Franklin. The only first-hand account they have is from Monica Rambeau being forcibly expunged. That happened after Agent Franklin got node.
But isn't it possible that Agent Franklin doesn't have first-hand experience, because all he did was climb up a ladder? I mean, he climbed up a ladder out of a sewer hole. That's not, I mean,
but
yes,
they would have gotten his clothes and be able to test his clothes and like all these things.
Maybe they're doing that. Maybe we're just not. I mean,
maybe
happening off screen.
That was such a small, insignificant part of the show. Like, that was just showing us that when it was when it first happened, it was to create the intrigue of who's this weird guy that's coming up out of the sewer. So that was,
it was a misdirect first.
In the episode, it was done for intrigue. And then when they actually showed what happened, they obviously had to explain why the beekeeper was in there. And you know, and then we know what happened with Monica. Monica got thrown back out of the area. So, and Vision or Wanda clearly said no, and things rewound. So maybe her powers just rewound him back to her. I don't know. I'm not, again, if it bothers you, I hope you get a resolution to it. I don't think I have my doubts that we will.
Well,
Franklin's okay. In my
who
world,
else is
Franklin's
named
okay.
Franklin? Franklin Richards. All right. Maybe it's Reed Richards. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you were just
No, I don't think Fantastic Four has anything to do with this. I've just heard people say that before, and it's like, his name's Franklin. He's not the turtle from Nickelodeon just because his name's Franklin, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, it's not.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
And good books.
Damn, what else was I going to say? There was something else too I just thought of. And then there's this isn't it, but it's reminding me of it. Like when she's sitting down talking on the couch to her kids, very much like this. It might be this scene, but I think it's later. Talking about her brother. Just want to note, in case I forget, when she was talking to Rambeau after giving birth to the kids, she explicitly does say, I had a brother, or I was a twin, referring to Pietro in the past tense. When she's talking to her kids here, they ask her if she has a brother, and she just says, yes, I have a brother, in the present tense.
Yeah, not had.
Yeah, not had. And then shortly after that, we get the knock on the door, but I'll wait on the knock on the door.
Maybe she was just explaining that to the kids, though, so she didn't...
Well, no, she says, I have a brother, he's just far away.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's probably just saying that to not bring up the fact that he's dead.
Yeah, to not have to explain to them that he's dead.
But I mean, the kids, they understand death, though.
Do they?
The dog just died. But that's the whole point.
Maybe that was set up for that exact reason.
No. The dog has not died at that point, because this happens in this scene. The two kids are fighting about, God, I can't remember what they're fighting about. And she says, you know, just because your brother does this doesn't mean he doesn't. Oh no, the mom and dad. Is it the mom? Is it Wanda and Vision they're fighting? And she's trying to explain why they're fighting to the kids. And she said, it doesn't mean your brother doesn't love you anymore. And that's when she brings up her brother. And she says he's very far away. Yeah, watch this a second time, but she says he's really far away. I think it's just her avoiding having to tell the kids about their uncle and how he died.
Yeah,
Because she clearly doesn't want to confront that. She doesn't. This is
I'll need to
her
watch it
escaping
again.
that.
I'll need to watch it again because I thought there was an implication that this kind of didn't make sense as to why she would be hiding. If that was my initial thought of it, like was just like, yeah, maybe she just doesn't want to say that he's dead. But then like, well, maybe it's just that like if you were hiding, but then the dog dies, so it's just weird writing because it's like, okay, why would you have the dog die right after that then? If you're trying to go, like, I'm talking about like writing the show, like obviously, because I mean, you gotta think too. If Wanda's controlling the show too, it's like, then it's even more kind of stupid as far as writing goes, because it's like you're letting the dog die, but you didn't want to say that Pietro was dead to him. So like,
but the dog has
story
no
of
emotional.
dead person, or no, they care about the dog because they have the dog.
No, I didn't get to finish. The dog has the dog has no emotional connection to Wanda. Besides, the kids are much more attached to the dog than Wanda is. Wanda actually is trying to get rid of the dog at first. Wanda doesn't know where the dog came from. Wanda, I think, is actually scared of the dog. Wanda, because she seems to have an idea of like what should be there and what shouldn't, and she seems to not know where the dog came from. And I think that I think her not wanting to talk about her brother is simply her not. This whole world is for her to feel safe and secure, and her brother obviously isn't a safe and secure topic, and so it's just her avoidance of that topic. And then the dog is, from a writing standpoint, the dog is just the death of the dog to explain how she's, to give that exposition that she can't bring things back from the dead, which further creates the mystery around what's going on with Vision.
Possibly. I don't know.
It's funny. This show is
interesting given what happens later in the episode, though.
Mm-hmm. This show is so it's so perfect to me. But it's also fascinating to me for how many people like you seem to have a lot of questions about what's going on. Like I come away with the episodes besides the obvious questions that they want you to have, like who's that person at the door and like what's going on, like the things about the beekeeper and stuff, like that completely pass over for me. I don't, it's being interpreted so many different ways by so many different people. All the talk online is all over the place. People have so many different speculations. Some people I just absolutely still hate the show. It's just a fascinating show for me. It's so far.
I think it's a great show.
Outside of what the actual show is, like the reception of it and the way people view it and experience it is so wildly different. It's really fascinating to me.
Well, that's the thing too, and I brought up before on stream Friday that like, what if even the stuff on the outside world is part of the show? Like we have the sitcom stuff, but then we have the outside world stuff. But like, what if even that stuff is actually a part of the show, and it's like happening? It's all being controlled. Like it's like the outside world stuff is being like it's fabricated for Wanda, either to further harm her because she is being held in this state against her will. You know what I mean? Like as if it is like a Mephisto or some sort of outside source or anything like. If Wanda is trying to live all happy and good and stuff, then they would want to throw in this outside stuff to mess with her. So what if it's even all fake? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like that's another thing. Like I don't necessarily think so. I think this stuff is happening in real time, and the stuff inside it is. It's like really meta if you go that far. I could see him doing it, but I don't think that's what's happening. I also don't think that, like, I loved this scene, by the way. This was good. This was like probably the best scene so far. Like her just coming out here and just like whipping it out and throwing it down on the table and just like, this is my house. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't y'all leave. Like, I'm in control here and you all just back up, dude. This was good stuff. People were trying to say there was like a
power of control you think you have, you don't.
Yeah, like nah, like you're. There's one person. Yeah, there's one Avenger here. All right, like people were trying to say too that there's like a face in this. I don't.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Like they held on this red effect that happens on the barrier for quite a while. And I was curious if I didn't personally see anything, but I was curious if you if you guys picked anything.
I didn't
up.
see.
Is
anything.
this it?
I think that's just kind of like grasping
That looks
for
just like
straws at that point. It just looks
Like eyes right here?
yeah.
I was literally about to say, like, I didn't see it, but then I paused it and saw this. And I could kind of see a face here.
Sure,
Like,
and
literally,
the-
like,
the-
cheekbones, nose, cheekbone, eye.
and then it's
Wow.
mirrored on the other
Eyebrow.
side. If you take the dark area on the other side of it, and the red is the iris or the middle. So yeah, right where your cursor is, just circle around that dark area right there. That's the eye, and the red spot in the middle is the iris of the other side of the face.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Maybe. It could very well just be, like, patterns, you know, like those pictures where, like, you see, like, things in it. I don't know. Because, like, you could also say, look, Wanda has wings right here.
yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like, well, it's just how it looks. Like, who knows? I don't know. Maybe. I don't. It did kind of look like it there, though. Like, when it was flashing there even more, it really did actually kind of look like it. Yeah. I'm just gonna keep pausing and see if we get it. There's nothing there.
It definitely was interesting that they held
Kind
on
of there.
this image for such a long time. It didn't just go away like as soon as she walked in. Don't they even give a wider shot after this? Where after Monica's reaction, they go back to it, and there Monica's looking, and it starts expanding.
I just think it's seeing things that aren't actually there. I don't think there's any purpose behind it or anything.
It's just like a distortion in the field.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
I'm looking. I'm going through it one more time. This almost looks like a mouth. But I'm also looking for a face right now.
that's what I'm saying. It's just
Like I think that's really what it is. Like, I don't know though. Here's a very wide shot. The other question is too is like, why did it turn red though? Because her powers are red, but wouldn't it have already been red at that point? Like, and it didn't turn red when she came out of it.
Yeah.
So
I
why
think
make it
we're
turn
over-
red now?
I think we're
Grasping at
faces.
straws.
Yeah, just at this point it's just I just think it was an effect personally. I mean,
I do too, but there has to be a reason for them to make it turn red though. Maybe she just put like a reinforcement spell on it.
yeah.
Like made
Maybe
it harder
red
to
is-
get into.
Maybe red is just an indication that she's mad. I mean, red is, used as an angry indication sometimes. So maybe she's. This commercial is hilarious.
This is a
Yeah.
great commercial, dude. I thought it was
Dads
funny.
can use it too.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Oh boy. Do you think that old Agnes killed this dog? By the way, like she killed the dog, right?
I didn't really get that idea from watching it, but maybe if I watched it again.
And the dog was fine until.
But it was eating azalea bushes, which are poisonous to dogs.
Yeah, she may have.
I think she killed the dog.
Clearly, Wanda, the dog was an unknown entity to Wanda, and so maybe Wanda had her kill the dog or manipulated the situation, or whoever's controlling Wanda manipulated the situation. Assuming there is somebody controlling, we don't know that that's
Dude,
happening,
I
but-
just had another theory. What if Agnes really is like Agatha Harkness or something like that, but maybe the spell literally isn't working on her, so she's messing with Wanda. She brought the dog in. She's acting like she's under her spell, but
Yeah.
isn't, and that's why she's like, in order to mess with her, she does the whole. You want me to take it from the top because she knows if something if something happens that she doesn't like, she rewinds it. So maybe she's just like just literally messing with her, throwing her off balance.
I really hope this is not Agatha Harkness. Just one, because so
Not
many
as the
people
bad guy, but just
so
messing
many
with her.
Well, no, I'm just saying in general, just because so many people have so adamant that that's who it is, and like
Yeah.
that's definitely what's going on, but also just because then it kind of just feels it's going to be like, oh well, okay, That's all it was. It was just everybody had it pegged from the character introduction. It's Agatha Harkness, and she's being mean to Wanda, or she's her villain. I think the other problem too is we have no backstory on this woman. If we get to the last episode and find out that it's her that's been messing with her, the emotional impact or the resonance that it has is severely blunted. Even with minor characters like Baron Zemo in Civil War, we got the backstory to him. We knew why he was going after Bucky, and we knew why he was messing with Tony and Steve, and you there was rationale and reasoning behind that. We have absolutely nothing on this character, and we're over halfway through the season or so far. So
I think
if it's revealed later on that she's the force behind it, it's going to be a little anticlimactic for me.
I think
Yeah.
Rob, I think your description, or was it John? Whoever said that she's just playing along with it just to mess with her or whatever. I think that would make the most sense to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, not necessarily meaning that like she's behind it, because like she could be Agatha Harkness, and just like her being a witch would just make her less receptive to the spell, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe she's just literally just messing with her. And I think it's just like to literally fuck with you, like not because she's the mastermind bad guy behind. I don't think that's it at all.
No.
Like she just hasn't played. It'd be a really anticlimactic villain to be like, I'm gonna play along in your sitcom world, just because. No real end game. Just thought it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. But if she can just resist the spell and is just like having fun messing with her, like just for kind of no reason, she's there. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but maybe she is. I don't know. Rick, you said you gotta go here soon, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's my mom's birthday, and
No, you're fine.
having people like call me while I'm sitting here.
That's good. Do you just want to bounce now and we can finish, or do you want to give your thoughts on what you think about the little reveal at the end here?
Yeah, I don't have to like leave this very second.
Well, what do you think about this? Because we get this. We're pretty much at the end of it anyway. So unless John has anything else to add, we can just get into the whole Evan Peters reveal here.
I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. It was surprising to me, but
Did you know who it was, Rick? When she opened the door, did you make
when I
the
saw the
connection?
hair,
Did you make the connection to the X-Men movies? Had you seen those? Do you know this character?
yeah, and when I saw the hair, but like, what is it? Aaron Taylor Johnson, the guy who plays him in like the Avengers and all that sort of stuff. That was my only thing. Is it's like, why is it Evan Peters?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, just that was confusing to me. And
I have a coworker that I talked about with it, and she didn't know who it was. And I had to explain why it was significant that he was there. And I'm curious how many people. Obviously, you would think most people do, but because the Fox movies were so separate from the MCU, I'm wondering.
Not a lot of people watched them.
Multiverse of Madness, though.
They were on a decline. The X-Men franchise was on a decline
Maybe.
financially and everything. Like, they weren't very popular
No.
when his character was in it. And that's a weird thing too, because a lot of people think that this is like Mephisto or somebody impersonating this like Pietro. And it's like, I get that. Like, I part of me doesn't think it really is Pietro from the X-Men franchise. But my whole thing is, if it's someone trying to mess with Wanda, why would he appear as Evan Peters Quicksilver and not Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver?
That was my question.
She has no idea who this is, and you can tell at first she's just like, Pietro? Like, she doesn't even know who it is.
I want you to send me a list of where you're getting these theories from, because I want to avoid them at all costs, because they don't sound very well thought out.
No, they don't. Like, it's just like stuff I just see and hear like online, like other videos, and I'm just like, dude, none of that makes sense though. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to bring in the X-Men characters either, which is why, like, I don't know if it is. Like, there was the audio. Don't get at me in the comments about the audio descriptor thing that says Wanda stares at Evan Peters Quicksilver character from the Fox X-Men franchise. I know
very
it's
descriptive.
There. Yeah, it's literally a descriptor so that a visually impaired person could know what we're supposed to be seeing. Because when you see it, that's what you think in your head. So they have to be just as descriptive as you would if you could see it.
They don't just say like Quicksilver shows up.
Yeah, they can't just say, well, Pietro appears. Like, Cool.
And from a story and production standpoint, they hired this actor specifically because of that connection. Now,
100%.
why story-wise, why they've done it, we don't know. But
That's right.
it wasn't like they accidentally hired this guy and just went, "Oh, that's a coincidence. Oh, it's a happy coincidence there." So, yeah, I mean, that's why the descriptor would be there. It was done intentionally.
Yeah. 'Cause that's the other thing too. Is like, yes, like the implications of him being here are just limitless, but like also ask yourself, like, is the WandaVision standalone TV series the way to introduce the X-Men, especially if it's this like something as big as like bringing in the Fox franchise? I don't necessarily think it really is. Granted, I still think, one, I don't think this is a Luke Skywalker level cameo in any way. So I think there's someone else for that cameo that she was talking about. Like, it
I
just
don't know,
can't
man.
be it.
I tell you what, this is Disney Plus's first MCU series. I think that this is a big enough platform and a big enough thing for them to introduce the X-Men, to set the bar high for what kind of stories and what kind of production they're going to have for their Disney Plus stuff. I think if they want to really cement in people's heads that this stuff is important and this stuff is just as important as a regular MCU movie, I mean, I could definitely see them. I love the theory. If it doesn't happen, I'm trying to brace myself to be prepared for it. But I think maybe Rob, you had said it, or maybe Rick had mentioned it, where instead of no more mutants, Wanda says, "Let there be mutants," or something like that, and brings mutants into the MCU because of this series or during the series.
Yeah, essentially, this would be I said it on stream, that this, instead of it's the reverse of the House of M, where she in the comics rids the world of mutants, but in the MCU's version of it, she creates them. Yeah. It is a very poetic thing, in my opinion. Thank you. That was me. I did think of that. But I just don't know. I don't know if it would be. Because there is one thing I would add to too, because a lot of people kind of like, and I think this too in a lot of ways, like, why would Kevin Feige introduce, like, why would he want the sloppy seconds to a failing franchise of Fox? Like, right?
True.
Like, these movies were on the decline. It went from like Days of Future Past made $800 million, Apocalypse made 500, Phoenix made like 200. Like,
they kept getting consistent.
It just got worse and worse and worse. Like, nobody cared. Why would he want them? I would argue that Kevin Feige got his start on the very first X-Men movie. Like, he was like on the set of that. He helped Wolverine get his look with the hair. He helped with that. I would say that in a lot of the times, like, emotional attachments and nostalgia can go against your better judgment and your better, it may not be like the best business decision to bring in these old pre-existing characters, but nostalgia is very powerful. Kevin Feige has actual emotional attachments to X-Men, maybe. So maybe he would like to see it continue on, and maybe you also get the whole, like, well, you may have failed with these characters and actors, Fox, but let me show you what I can do with the exact same things. You know what I mean? You always have that too. Like, I'm playing devil's advocate to where, like, at the same time, I could just see Kevin Feige wanting to make his own characters, right? Because it's not like he's bringing Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan back to be the Fantastic Four. Yeah. But I could totally see, like, he also had nothing to do with that movie, whereas he did work on X-Men as Kevin Feige. Like, he wasn't the big man in charge.
But not with these characters.
Well, he worked with Hugh Jackman and all that.
Yeah, but Hugh Jackman isn't coming back. He's already said he's not coming back.
But he was in Days of Future Past, who was with all these characters too. So, like, Kevin Feige knows everybody. Right? Well, he knows everybody. But it's part of the same universe.
Are we kind of diving into like a Kevin Bacon situation?
100%.
Like, he knows a guy who knows a guy.
100%. I'm just trying to provide some form of this, like, well, maybe it's just because he has some sort of emotional ties to the franchise itself, because it is the same franchise, whether or not he had anything to do with the Evan Peters cast of it, right? Like, but he
Yeah,
did have something to do with the Hugh Jackman stuff. He worked with them all.
Are you? I mean, we're discussing this to imply that possibly he's bringing the X-Men characters into the MCU. The X-Men characters from the Fox franchise into the MCU, correct?
If like that's who Evan Peters is actually supposed to be right now. Like if they have him do a slow motion speed running scene, like like if he is actually Quicksilver, that opens up more doors. Right now, it's just Evan Peters is here playing Pietro, who looks like Quicksilver from Fox's X-Men. We don't even know if that's explicitly who he is in the show. Even in the WandaVision show, he just looks like that. It could be anything. Who the hell knows? Like, because again, why would it not be Aaron Taylor Johnson? Now, I know you would say, well, because it's a multiverse. Is it? Like, nothing else has been multiverse related in this at all. Like, so, like, I don't know. Then we got Multiverse of Madness. Who knows? Like, I don't know. Do you think like this is actually Quicksilver, or do you think it's just like an illusion?
At this point,
I think it's Quicksilver.
You think it's Quicksilver?
I think it is. I think there's going to be some huge narrative gymnastics they're going to have to do to pull off why this character, this actor is portraying this character if it's not the Fox version, if it isn't her bringing him in from another realm or something, or from another universe. If it's just random, I hate this. I mean, but it feels like a dirty trick on the audience. Like
100%.
If with no payoff, like why do that besides just to trick the audience? Like the only reason you bring him in if he's not that character is to just be like, haha, gotcha. You guys thought something was going on, but it's not. So here, we're moving on to something else.
It is a dirty way of misdirecting people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like that was my main thing that I was thinking too with it, is like, why else do you bring him in to do it unless he's playing him? Because then otherwise it's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, even if it's not really that Quicksilver, like he has to at least be representing that Quicksilver in some way. Because otherwise, like, why do you even do it? I think this is a very smart, very small yet important and simple way for them to begin explaining the idea of a multiverse to a larger audience. This clearly shows that there was a Quicksilver in the MCU who everybody that's watching this knows and saw die. And then there's a lot of people out there who know that there was a Quicksilver in the Fox universe that had nothing to do with this. And by bringing that Quicksilver over, they can start connecting people's minds. Oh, I see. There is a separate thing that's like ours, but doesn't have any interaction. And if we're going to start interacting between these two universes, this is how that plays out. I think they kind of stumbled into a very unique situation where they don't have to establish a separate universe. That universe has already been established. They can just start playing in it, or playing with it by bringing this character in. I agree. That's why I think the Luke Skywalker level cameo was going to be Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. 100%. And I'll tell you why. There's valid tinfoil hat evidence behind this. It was about a year or so ago, year and a half ago, Patrick Stewart was asked if it was like during an interview, he spoke about having met with Kevin Feige about playing Professor Xavier again. And he said that he felt that Charles got the best ending possible in Logan, and like, doesn't know if he wants to like do anything to tarnish that or something along those lines. That was literally during the time they would have been in pre-production for WandaVision that he had this conversation about reprising the role of Charles Xavier in the MCU by Kevin Feige.
Yeah,
like it's a bit of a coincidence. That he was talking to him about Charles Xavier when we have freaking Pietro from his world right there in the MCU.
I just don't know.
And that's Luke Skywalker level.
I just don't know narratively, like how does why does Wanda have a connection with Professor X? Like, if you went Magneto on me, I'd be more
Well, I
inclined
could
because
see
of
that
the
too.
possible parentage.
I could see that too, but I think Charles is more. It's easier to have a bald dude in a wheelchair roll up, and like people know exactly what's going on right now. You got the X logo on the thing. I don't know, because it could. Ideally it'd be both, right? Like they both come into frame, like at the same time, side by side, friend to friend. Like that would be the most ideal situation. And although at the same time, it makes absolutely zero sense why it wouldn't be Michael Fassbender if they're going to go with the whole lineage thing, because that is 100% confirmed the Magneto dad of this Pietro.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Ian McKellen, even though they're supposed to be the same guy. Kind of. Like, I don't know. Their timeline was super wonky.
X-Men's weird.
Like, there was continuity schmontinuity over there. Like, none of it made real sense. But I don't know. Like, literally, Michael Fassbender was the age of Michael Fassbender when he had a son that was Pietro's age. So it would make zero sense for Ian McKellen to be here, and Pietro's still this age. So I don't know. But I don't know. I guess more people are probably more familiar with the original version of those characters. So Charles Xavier being Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen being Magneto would make more sense. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. We could speculate all day, but I still don't know if I'm willing to say this is him, but it makes the most sense that it is him.
Yep.
You guys got anything else you want to add? I know you got to get out of here. Rick,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Are you got anything else to add, John? Or you just want to wrap it up?
Oh, I mean, I think we covered it quite a bit. I think we said most of what I thought.
Yeah, I'm super hyped about it, though. I'm curious to find out. I'm sure we're going to get a ton of more information about this stuff in episode 6, though.
I was going to say episode 6 should be interesting.
Yeah.
My only concern going forward is like they weren't able to keep Evan Peters' appearance in here a secret. Like I had heard beforehand that he was seen on set, and that was a little disappointing because it would have been a really cool and surprising thing more so had they opened the door and I had no clue that he was going to be
Yeah.
it would have been more of a jaw drop. And as it was, he opened the door and I was like, oh, okay, there he is. So it didn't have quite the same impact. I'm hoping they can tighten up their security or whatever and let less reveals like that out.
Yeah, well, not even that, too. Apparently the footage for this exact scene leaked like 2 weeks ago, and then I saw leaked footage of the Halloween episode. So I'm not going to say what it is I saw, but like it does have to do with this Pietro character. So like if that's real, it's nothing like crazy or major or anything. It's just more of another like kind of nod to something. So I don't know. But either way, Rick, I know you got to get out of here.
I'm sorry.
Where can everybody find you online, good sir?
Sir Rick Metz, follow me on Instagram. Got my phone fixed so you can actually see new pictures and stuff like that now. But yeah, follow me.
All right, sounds good, and we'll see you back here on Friday when we do a stream anyway, and we might do some like Super Bowl trailer stuff if it comes up. So we'll see. I'll give you a call for that if you need. I know you gotta get out of here though. So
yeah, I'm sorry.
You're good, man. I'll see you.
Take care,
I'll see you guys. Yeah.
All right, guys, and John, just while we're at it, why don't you go ahead and give everybody your online handles here?
Yeah, I'm over at the Twitters and now Instagram at Nightwing_K. So come over there. You can tell me what you think about WandaVision or drop in the comments here. Actually, if you want to come over there, you can tell me what you think about DC's new Infinite Frontier line of comics that they've got coming up. They've got Tom Taylor taking over Nightwing, which I think is my most anticipated. They also have a new Superman comic that's coming out that I'm excited about. So Philip Kennedy Johnson is going to be taking over the Superman line. And I'm real excited to see what he has to do with that. He's done some really great comics and actually a friend of the show. So I've gotten a chance to talk with him before and I'm really excited about his new books. So yeah, if you have things about comics, come over there and drop them in my comments and we can chat about them.
Didn't Bendis get on Superman when didn't he do Superman run? Or was it half of a run?
Now, when Bendis first got transferred, when he first made the move from Marvel to DC, his first book was he did a mini series called Man of Steel, and then he took over both Superman titles. Took over the Superman proper title, and then he took over Action Comics. And he's been writing for the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
His runs actually both just ended December of last year, I think, before they launched their Future State kind of tangent that's going on in January and February, and then they're going to start their Infinite Frontier, which picks the books back up in present day, beginning in March, and that's where they're getting a lot of creator changes. And Philip Kennedy Johnson's taking over Superman, Tom Taylor's taking over Nightwing, like I said. So they've got new creative teams on just about every book starting in March.
It's pretty much your typical every 5-year DC reboot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what it is. So, yeah.
Hey, I don't want to jinx things, but did I just make through an entire show without freezing?
You froze one time, but you unfroze without me saying anything.
Oh man,
it was only for it was a brief thing. Like it was,
Okay.
I was about to say you froze, John, but then you unfroze immediately after. Like I was thinking about saying it. So it was just a little bit. So we made it through. Like it only happened that one time. I call that a win. Like I'm like Hulk here. Like I call this an absolute win. Like that was pretty good. Like for sure. But anyways, guys, you can follow me just simply at Sir Rob Bifo right there, all platforms, and we'll be back on us every week. Obviously, every Friday we do a stream, and then the show is every Monday. You can submit topics and questions to the show again by emailing us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com, and also we got this coming here soon. I got this bad boy here. We're gonna do the unboxing and review of this bad boy very, very soon. Boom.
Nice.
Boom.
Awesome.
It looks great. I've taken it out of the box and just to get a good look at it, and it looks like Liam Neeson in an action figure. So that's pretty much. I wish for whatever reason it'd be really cool if they would have given you. If they did this for a lot of figures, I think it'd be cool. They'll probably never do it, but just like an actual. Short-haired Liam Neeson, just so I could make a regular Liam Neeson figure. There's that thing. Where did you say you got that thing from again? What was the brand?
Dude, this is Young Rich. It's an unlicensed figure.
It looks dope though.
But it looks really good. I'm actually really happy with it. There are some small little things that but they don't overall it's a great but it's non-licensed, so you have to kind of mine came off of eBay.
Oh yeah.
But people can find them. I'm sure there are other sellers out there too, but yeah, I did a pseudo unboxing. We'll see if I can get the footage cobbled together enough to actually be worthwhile putting up, but
right.
Sweet.
I might have some more coming too. Some more hot toys that you may not know about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'll save it. I'll save it to see what happens. But I might have some more, and then I might have.
Okay. There's
one that you do know about, but there's 2 for sure that you don't know about. That they're coming, and then there's another one that I might have to just go get.
Okay.
And I might, because I saw it yesterday, and it's still normal price. And it's like $500 online everywhere right now. It's out of stock on Sideshow. It's one of those situations that I don't want to run into.
If you can pick up one that's out of stock for retail, you almost have to do. If it's something that you might want or think you'll want in the future or don't want to miss out on, you almost have to pull the trigger because they do go up in value or up in price quite a bit later.
Yeah, especially like I said, this one right now is literally already about 500 online, and it was one that's was a more recent release. Within the last year it came out, it's out of stock everywhere, and it's already worth $500.
Wow.
So I'm I just gotta get it.
Yep.
It's right there. It's the same situation I ran into with a damn Deathstroke, dude. I held that stupid Hot Toys Deathstroke in my hand and was I don't want it right now. And now I want it, obviously.
Yeah.
And now it's $500. So Is what it is. That's the struggle with it anyways. But guys, don't forget, like and subscribe, do all that good stuff. Send us emails and questions at the honestanduneducated@gmail.com. But that's about it. Until next time, let us know your WandaVision theories down in the comment section below as well. But that's it. Until next time, guys, take care.